Second free throw is up and in. 1 second left from Denver. Jokic from 75 feet is no good at the horn. And that'll do it in game number 4. The Nuggets score combined points of 26 in quarters number 1 and 4 and lose this thing at home 92-87.
Just incredible. The way a jump shot can not be there, then be there, and then disappear once again. But it does, and the series is knotted at 2 with Game 5 coming up tomorrow night. Joining us right now to help try and make sense of everything that we're watching, it's our pal Chris Dempsey of Altitude. He joins us right now on the Ramos Law Hotline. Car accident, you need Ramos Law, medical doctor and attorney. Visit ramoslaw.com. Demps, welcome back. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. How are you?
We're doing great. Hang that one in the Louvre yesterday, Demps. Just an absolute rock fight, playoff-y kind of playoff game right there. But the Nuggets had an 8-point lead early in that fourth quarter. Besides the obvious of they couldn't buy a bucket, where did it all go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, that's I know it sounds simplistic and maybe a little bit too easy to analyze that way, but that's exactly what happened. And, you know, look, Oklahoma City is a really good defensive basketball team. We knew that coming into this series. They have, by and large, showed that. And I think in that fourth quarter, you know, what they're really leaning on, and I think it especially in these last two games, is the ability for them to play with depth and the ability to continue to put players on the court that can play physically versus the Nuggets who have to kind of rely on that starting five. And if that starting five has legs and has energy and has, you know, explosiveness in those last couple of quarters, okay, fine. But if they don't, then you start to have problems. And I think that's where, especially last game, you really started to see it show up, and just a lot of jump shots being taken because OKC is clogging up the paint really effectively. And then when you don't have legs after a short rest from the game prior, a lot of that stuff doesn't go down. And so, you know, look, the challenge for the Nuggets going forward here is how can you generate shots in the paint and at the rim? It is going away. It's like evaporating quickly. And, you know, it's if they can't do that, they will lose this series. So they must do that starting tomorrow.
What is Aaron Gordon really the key to this thing, Demps? I thought I heard a stat over the weekend where if Aaron Gordon scores more than 20 points, they're like undefeated in these playoffs.
Undefeated.
Only 15 yesterday. What's the key to help him getting going too?
Well, I think for Aaron, and I mean, he was 5 of 10, so 50% from the field and good three-point percentage too. I just think for the key for Aaron is being able to take advantage of matchups when he gets them, and I think for the Nuggets is creating those matchups. So he's the one player where you can really, I don't know, want to use the word easily, but like you can create a matchup that is advantageous for him. So if I would use him as the ball handler, and then screen in like Jalen Williams or screen in Chet Holmgren because he can just overpower Chet Holmgren. Now, look, he's going to get a shot or two blocked because Chet is obviously very long and athletic and he can block some shots. But I think over the course of time, what you would see is Aaron Gordon win that particular matchup offensively just because he's a lot more powerful than Chet Holmgren. And then the matchup with Jalen Williams, look, they're basically similar sized players, and I think they would just go at it. He could post him up. He can do some things that way. So you can get Aaron Gordon single coverage more often than, you know, any other player in that. Christian Brown gets single coverage all the time, but of your really core three players who have scored the most this postseason, you can create that for him, and I think he can go to work. So I just think it's kind of leaning more into him. 10 shot attempts is way too low for him. He needs to be checking in 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, we'll take that because I think he's been absolutely brilliant this entire series. Talking to Chris Dempsey of Altitude Television, breaking it down for us right now. How did we get to this spot? 2-2, 4 games into this series. All right, Demps, Nikola Jokic. This is uncharted territory. This is a guy over the last 3 games that is shooting 33% from the floor. This is a guy with a negative assist-to-turnover ratio in this series right now, 23 turnovers to 21 assists. So it's backwards, okay? I need a like a verbal pie chart out of you right here is what I'm looking for, Demps. Like, explain to us the inefficiency of Nikola Jokic. How much of it is on what the Thunder are doing, and how much of it is on Jokic just struggling?
So I'd say this is 50-50.
Okay.
I would say that the Thunder have done a great job, obviously, of surrounding him and bumping and being physical and and doing all the things that you have to do to throw a player like that off balance a little bit. And then the other 50% is that there's just some shots that he's just missing that he normally makes. And guys, I think more alarming to me, these are his last 2 games in the fourth quarter. 3 of 13, so that's 23% from the field. A total of 8 points and a total of 5 rebounds. And, look, the one clear advantage the Nuggets had over OKC in this series was their ability to be much better in the clutch. But if, for the Nuggets to be much better in the clutch, that really involves, obviously, Joker and Jamal in that 2-man dance doing their thing late in the game. This looks to me like Nikola Jokic is wearing down. And if you factor in the fact that it was a very physical series against Ivica Zubac in the first series against the Clippers, and now just a host of players who were doing everything to take his legs and just be physical and wear him down. This is what this is starting to look like to me, and that's a little bit alarming. But for Nikola, if he can just make the shots that are normal for him to make, I think we'll see his field goal percentages start going up. Obviously, his point total is going up, and then the Nuggets being more effective as a whole with him there. But if he's not going to be able to be effective in the fourth quarter, this is going to be a very, very huge problem for Denver.
All right. What do they got to do? Who would you trust? Look, I don't even know how to ask the question, but the bottom line is, Demps, they got to get other guys playing. Because it looks to me too much like last year where guys are running out of gas. And, Nicole included. And I just worry this is starting to feel like Minnesota where you get to game 7 and they look exhausted. So who do you trust? Do you have to give a little Jalen Pickett? Jalen Pickett's barely played, but then he puts in Strother yesterday. He doesn't really want to play Strother. Who can you use off the bench, even if it's just to steal 5 minutes for some key players?
It's a good question. I mean, you remember when you guys asked me that in the last year? I was like, I don't know.
I think that's where we got the barf sound from. But guess what?
You're right. Exactly right.
It's still barf.
Why? I mean, yeah, this is why. I mean, the Nuggets young players are not seasoned enough just quite yet. Now, okay, so let's kind of like take a little bit more of a 30,000-foot view. The issue in this series is that the Nuggets starters have to outplay the OKC starters every single game, full stop. And they can do that with Aaron Gordon getting more shot attempts. Michael Porter Jr., that's obviously a roll of the dice each night. How is his shoulder feeling and how is that impacting his jump shot and his ability to do whatever else you need? You like be physical defensively, all those things. If it looks like he can't do that, maybe he can't play 34 minutes the way he did last time. Maybe he plays 24 minutes, and now Westbrook's minutes go up, or Peyton Watson's minutes go up because defensively he can, help with some momentum plays, or maybe just pop in a really good game overall. Just in general, I think the answer is probably not going to come off the bench unless you're going to play Strother. They played Strother 5 minutes. Okay, but that 5 minutes has to be at least 15, and then you have to say to the young man, we're going to run some things for you. I want you to let it fly as if this was Summer League, and put him in a very confident space so that he knows that he's not putting 1,000 pounds of pressure on himself every single time he even looks at the rim, which is what the playoffs do to you, and is what playing alongside 3-time MVP and another player, all-star level player like Jamal Murray and a championship team can do to you. Strother to me would be the guy that is most likely to be able to pop in. All of a sudden, he's got 12 to 15 points, and he's made 4 3-pointers, and that has made all the difference in this game.
This all sounds amazing, Demps. This is I think this is a good idea.
But he has to be able to feel that he can do that, and it's unlike I think Michael Malone probably would have played him more. I don't know that David Adelman has a lot of trust in him.
There it is. All right. Well, what happened to Pickett? I'm just curious. Pickett looked all right down the stretch. Is it just a size thing? What do you think happened to where the trust has gone there too?
No, Andy. You know what I think, and we chatted about this a little bit earlier in the Clipper series, prior to the Clipper series. The issue is that he is a redundant player. You have a point guard, it's Jamal Murray. You have a backup point guard, it's Russell Westbrook. You don't have minutes for a third point guard in the playoffs. And it's no knock against Pickett, but they're not going to play him over obviously either one of those two players. And so now your point guard minutes are very limited. And as a 2 guard or a off the ball guard, kind of a combo player, that's not his cup of tea. Let's just put it that way. So, it's you need your main players, your main ball handlers, and then guys who you think can play really well off the ball, which is why I think Strother is getting some minutes over Jalen Pickett recently. We'll see. I mean, if they look, if Russell Westbrook doesn't have it on a particular night, maybe we'll see them pop in Jalen Pickett, and put him in that role. But it's to play 3-point guards in the playoffs when your rotations are shortened anyway, that's really what's costing him time in this series. And unless they kind of clear that out next season, that's unfortunately for him going to be his reality.
The other thing that's wild about this is, have you guys, the non-Jamal Murray minutes have been a nightmare for the Nuggets in this series.
Yeah.
When they take Jamal off the court, they have just been getting absolutely killed, which it's a weird reversal of what we usually see. We always attribute that to Jokic, but really, when Jamal Murray is not out there is nobody that can get a good shot off the dribble on this team. Christian Brown can be effective in transition, but that he just doesn't have that, that club in his bag yet of being able to get his own shot off the bounce. And so it's Jamal, it's a killer to not have Jamal Murray basically out there for 48 minutes right now, which is wild, and he's basically playing as many minutes as he possibly can. Westbrook was really ineffective yesterday, but we were talking about this with Hastings before, Demps, of we're talking about where do you find something, and the Thunder can get, 11, double-figure scoring games out of Isaiah Joe and Kaysen Wallace and Aaron Wiggins, and the Nuggets they don't have anything even close to that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's credit to Oklahoma City to find these guys.
That's what, honestly, Chet Holmgren hasn't done anything in this series. He has not been terribly effective so far in this. The Nuggets were using Jamal Murray against Chet yesterday, and Jamal was actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren is
annoying.
I'm looking for
skinny.
Yeah, well, but I'm just
real skinny.
He's paper mache is what he is out there, and the Nuggets are being super physical with him, and he's just folding like a house of cards.
Yep.
And so, they've done that with him. But the issue is, to your point, Alex Caruso 10 points, Aaron Wiggins 11 points, Kaysen Wallace 11 points, Isaiah Joe he had 1, but he is fully capable of coming off the bench and knocking in 3-point shots, and that really is the difference. And then that's why, guys, I led this segment basically by saying the Nugget starters have to outscore OKC starters because the bench becomes a real problem, unlike the Clipper series where the benches were pretty much even. So, we knew this coming in with the Nuggets team, which was, okay, what are they going to do off the bench? They were able to get away with it against a team that didn't have a great bench either in the first round, and they right now are tied 2-2 against a team that can go much deeper off their bench than you can. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but in the off season here, that is something that they must address in a real way. How are you getting 4 players off your bench that you can count on every single night, that if you have to roll them into a playoff game, that you can actually count on to point for point production. They don't have that now, so it's going to put a lot of pressure on the starters. But I will say this about Jamal Murray. 15 shots, again, not enough.
Right.
You know, the Oklahoma City is being they've done a fabulous job at just sucking the shot attempts away out of Jamal Murray. And he's going to make the right play, right? He's going to move the ball on. He's going to make the right pass. But I think what the Nuggets need to do is figure out a way for his shot attempts to get between 20 and 25, because when they do, he finds ways to score. And if he's finding ways to score and impacting and has his fingerprints on a game, that gives them the best chance to win. 15 points, 15 shots attempts is just not going to cut it. Look, tip the cap to OKC, but the Nuggets can do things to get him more looks at the basket.
Yeah, the rise and fire shots that he was taking and hitting in Game 3 on Friday night, he just wasn't taking as many of them last night. Actually did get to the rim a few times yesterday, which was good to see.
He did.
Chris Dempsey, everybody. By the way, Demps, I got OKC to win tomorrow. Nuggets to win Game 6, and Game 7 is flip of the coin. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll agree with you tomorrow with OKC.
Mm-hmm.
I think for OKC, this is kind of this is the moment of truth.
Yep.
Which is you are an ascending basketball team, and you are not going to be handed an NBA title. But have you learned lessons enough in this series against a team that has been there before, that is fighting you tooth and nail, that you can execute when you need to execute, that you can lock in when you need to lock in, and that you can make the plays that get you from being just very fun regular season champion to an actual champion. And so we'll find out if not, guys, the Nuggets will win. Because, there's too many good players and there's too much experience and there's too much metal in that team to not. But for OKC, okay, all right, this is what you asked for. Do you want to step up to the plate and accept that challenge?
Yeah, put up or shut up time for a young team. Chris Dempsey, everybody, watch him on Altitude. He will be there pre and post and all that good stuff throughout the course of the playoffs, which hopefully will last much, much longer. Demps, good stuff, man.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you.
All right, our buddy Chris Dempsey stopping by here day after a game, breaking it all down as only he can. How about that quote? I highlighted that one. Looks to him like Jokic is wearing down. Is it reversible in any way? We'll discuss that next.
this looks to me like Nikola Jokic is wearing down. And if you factor in the fact that it was a very physical series against Ivica Zubac in the first series against the Clippers, and now just a host of players who were doing everything to take his legs and just be physical and wear him down. This is what this is starting to look like to me, and that's a little bit alarming.
Yeah, it is unsettling and weird. The weirdest part, Andy, is him missing shots that he always makes. You know, that's always bizarre. I feel like as a Nuggets fan, you almost get just like lulled into a sense of security of just like, oh, okay, he made a catch on the roll, he turns toward the bucket, and there's the floater, and it's good. And instead, he's just like, he's bonking those things. Shots that he typically makes, and he's hesitating, he's putting in extra pump fakes, extra head fakes, things like that. I understand his frustration. I get it. When Alex Caruso is just like living inside of his jersey, but he is obsessed with the whistle right now.
He is.
And I think some of it is born of his shooting struggles of he's hoping like hell. But also I'll say this, he shot 14 free throws yesterday. 14 free throws, okay? So you are getting whistles. But he is just like I think his frustration with his own game is right now manifesting itself in his frustration with the whistle. Missing late free throws yesterday, but missing shots that he normally makes. And the weirdest thing, I think, is more turnovers than assists in this series. There's a lot of weird Jokic stuff happening. And quite frankly, if you would have given me these numbers before the series, I would have been like, oh, so they got swept. And instead it's 2-2, which is a testament to the team, but also it's a testament to him because I still do think he's finding ways to help his team win. I think he's playing really good defense in this series. I thought he was great defensively yesterday, but he's also just like not doing the Jokic stuff that we're always so used to seeing.
Yeah, and again, you talk about the refs, and I don't disagree. You know, there was one where he literally went and did the bump move on Hartenstein that he expected the same call that they just had given SGA.
Yeah.
You know what I do, frankly? And this isn't a Jokic thing. I was half tempted watching the one. Where was the one? Can't even remember who he bumped into. It might have been Peyton Watson. It might have been MPJ. But SGA did his thing where he throws the shoulder in to create the space, then goes back.
Porter.
You know what I almost do? I almost just grab that little hand. You want to? All right, I'm gonna hold on to you.
Yeah.
So then when you pop back out, you do that a couple of times. I'll take a couple fouls.
Mm-hmm.
How often you want to do that?
Right.
Because and you know
he's gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe one time you can get off balance, fall on the ground. We'll see if that's still a good idea for you. Because you're just it. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about the whistle. This is about how deep your bench is versus theirs. And Jokic has just got to try to find a way to let it go. The only thing I hope David, I'm assuming David, it feels like David Adelman's in a great position to be the coach. We've agreed on that, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I would request of him, you are going to have to find a way, the way Michael Malone did, to get Jokic out of the ref thing for a while.
Right.
Whether that's now, he did try, was that game 3 where he basically ran on the court and tried to get the technical foul before anybody else could get it?
Yeah.
I credit DA in that move Friday night. Kind of sucks that we had I almost wish yesterday was game 3 and Friday was game 4 so we could all feel better today, right?
Yeah, Friday was a lot more fun.
Yeah, I had a great weekend all the way. But I just feel like as if you're going to be the coach of this team, and I think you probably are, you're going to have to find a way to get Jokic focused back on the game and less about the refs. And you just have to, because this is not going to go away with him. We've seen this his entire career.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. He's not getting the calls. It's amazing to me. You know, you want to know how bad it's gotten? There are actually a bunch of Twitter handles out there now cutting up what SGA did versus what Jokic does and what SGA gets called that he doesn't get called. So he has a beef. But you can't be focused on your beef.
He's whistle hunting, though.
I know he is.
He's far too obsessed with the whistle right now.
I agree.
He's far and again,
it's taking the flow out of the offense.
And Andy, like I see what you're saying, but also like, and this is as old as time in the sport of basketball, is that guards get whistles that 285-pound centers do not get.
You're not wrong.
That's as old as the game. And Jokic, like I know you're a 7-foot point guard, all of those things, but they're never going to give you those calls. They're just and typically, I think in the last few years, one of the things that I think has seen him go from all-star to best player on the planet is he's done a better job mitigating some of his frustrations with all of that. And you might hear that and think, what are you talking about, Kreckman? He's always whining at the refs. Go back and watch Jokic from 5 years ago, okay? Like, it was worse, and he is doing a better job right now. But right now, like, the defensive job that they're doing, and Zubats did a great job in the first round, and Hartenstein and Chet in his length, and honestly, I think Jalen Williams has been the X factor defensively on Jokic in this series. This is the best defending of Nikola Jokic we have seen this postseason since Dwight Howard in the bubble. You know, when the Lakers just had all those giants out there that gave him all those problems. That's what we're seeing with what he's going up against.
Well, and I just want people to know, the whistle's been frustrating. Nuggets still shot 10 more free throws than the Thunder
They're
did
getting free
yesterday.
throws.
So they're getting their calls.
Jokic shot 14 free throws.
Yeah. And then again, unfortunately, he missed 2 big ones at the end, and Aaron Gordon missed 2 of his 3 at the end.
You know what's a way bigger problem? He didn't have a single offensive rebound yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a problem. All right? The elbow, is it an issue? God, yes, I think it is. Yeah, he's not as comfortable right now. You can tell that he's just thinking more. And I think he's thinking because of his elbow, and I also think he's thinking because of what the Thunder are doing to him, which is essentially crowding 3 defenders around him every time. And man, they are like, the moment that catch happens, they see it and they are there, man. Like, Caruso's unbelievable, Dort's unbelievable, Jalen Williams he's a great Jokic pesterer, if you will.
Well, and the reality, too, is he's trying to hit open guys, and, like, it just happened to be, here's the stinkiness of what they're going through. MPJ comes out and has a phenomenal game. Probably was the player of the game. I know Jamal gets a lot of credit for Friday night, but MPJ made a lot of shots, looked like he wasn't thinking about things.
Comfortable right away.
Just catching, shooting. Great night from MPJ.
Yeah.
Then yesterday, not quite the same. Jokic tries to hit him under the basket. You can see he literally only has one hand to try to catch things with.
Yeah.
And again, you can't take him out of there because you just don't have any better options. We're trying to figure out what to do, how you just get a few minutes for everybody to rest, much less try to replace anybody. And so there's going to be games where MPJ, and look, they're still banging on his shoulder too. They're still giving him the contact. Russ, I think we've all learned, Russ had a down game. Russ had gone, 4 or 5 good games in a row and then had a down game. I don't think he had a bad game since he came back from injury in the Clippers series.
If I could, I want to suggest an adjustment that this team could make in any lineups where Jamal and Westbrook are sharing the floor, and it's not a ton, I get that, but in any lineups where they are, can we please get Russ to bring the ball up?
Why not?
To try and make life a little bit easier on Jamal Murray.
So he's not battling Dort the whole way?
And I want to be clear on something. I think Jamal's having a really good series, especially these last couple of games. I thought Jamal played well yesterday. I didn't have a lot of complaints. Yeah, Dempsey's right. I do wish he had shot more. I also do think, like, Lou Dort and especially Caruso, these guys are just world-class defenders, and they're giving him problems, and they swipe at everything, like, all that. But, like, generally, I think Jamal is playing pretty well. I think he's operating the offense pretty well right now. But if he's out there with Westbrook, he needs a break when it comes to ball handling. Have Russ bring it up. The whole thing is you got to get Russ to, give the ball up to Jamal to initiate the offense.
You have to trust,
right?
We're going to run the offense.
Yeah, then Russ isn't just going to walk into a shot that the Thunder are going to be like,
Have it,
sir.
Please.
Yes.
I welcome you to this side of the court.
Can we serve you an appetizer?
There's the 3-point line. Would you like to explore it? Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, at the end of the day, this team is battling so hard.
They are, man.
This is playoff basketball, folks. It's playoff basketball. We've said over and over, that run 2 years ago almost was an illusion because it's not supposed to be that easy.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it was that easy. You know what I missed? I was thinking about this yesterday because I thought they were going to get there. They had a 10-point lead, 10-point lead in the third quarter, then we switched over. It's just so wild to see this team, especially at home with the energy of the building, not really go on a run to separate themselves. They ended up doing it in overtime at game 3.
Yeah.
And I thought they were on their way to doing it yesterday. And then, like you said, whether it's the Nikola, just the typical shots, a Jamal 3, a Porter 3, a Gordon dunk, they just aren't happening. And I'll tell you who else got to get out of his head.
Thunder, by the way, 11-0 run after they got down 73-66.
I love Christian Brown. I love what he's been doing defensively. Son, you've got to shoot when you are open. He is hesitating more than anybody. Cannot have it. I know it's not falling, but you can't just stop and do the double clutch and then they're on top of you.
Yeah, I also don't want him taking 9 threes.
No, that's fine. Let's try to go to the rack. But
yeah, as much as he can. He got some transition buckets yesterday that was good to see, and defensively, he's been marvelous in this series. Like I think they're making life tough on Shea. They're making everything that he gets difficult to get, and I think CB's having a great series, but take fewer than 9 threes if you can. God, they took 45 threes yesterday.
Too many.
And
you weren't making them.
And it screams fatigue, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, because you don't want to go in there and get beat up anymore.
Right.
That's why we're all wondering what's up with Jokic. Elbow, whatever it may be, he's probably sick of getting beat on by 3 dudes.
Yep.
And Hartenstein's taking every chance he can to throw the shoulder in, throw a forearm in. Boy, you know what was driving me nuts yesterday? You know what the thing I saw way too much of? It was a pass, but it looks like a shot from Hartenstein mid-key where he's just throwing it to the side to a wide open uncovered Chet for the dumb dunk. Please don't let that happen anymore.
Yeah.
Those are, to me, it felt like a cheap bucket, even though it's a good play.
Well, you know why I
wish
hate
we
him?
could have that.
You know why I hate him? Because
he was ours.
Because that's Jokic to Aaron Gordon. That's
true.
That's why I hate that. We did that first, all right?
Yeah, just
a center
knock it off.
Throwing a lob to a power forward in the dunker spot. That's our thing.
Do not make me bleed my own blood.
Jeff Legwold, he's fresh off of covering a rookie mini camp. We're going to find out about the thighs of R.J. Harvey and everything else when we return.
Guys, it's a Monday, and Monday means we're going to talk to you about your erectile dysfunction because that's what you need to talk about on a Monday. And if you got it, you got to go talk to our friends over at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Now, you can choose any day of the week to go have this conversation. Does not have to be on a Monday. They can fix it any day of the week for you. But on Mondays after the weekend, if you found yourself avoiding the date or avoiding romance or avoiding whatever because you've got no confidence thanks to ED, it's time to go get this solved over at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Finding the right treatment is key to you getting a better experience back in your life. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, they have treatments that work when the pills and the herbals fail. Treatments with success rates well over 90%. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, they've served the Front Range of Colorado for nearly a decade and have successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Here's how the first visit goes. You can schedule your consult right there on the website if you like at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit's $99, and it includes the medical consult with a Colorado licensed medical provider. You'll have a T and a PSA test. And if you're medically advised, they'll give you a test dose. And if the test dose isn't working in the office, well, your visit's free. So nothing to lose. Go see what they have to offer. They have an expert staff. And if you're like a lot of men, they'll have you feeling better about yourself the next day. They have 5 locations throughout Colorado, including up north in Fort Collins, down south in the Springs. Call them today, 720-440-7900 or RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Jeff Legwold time here on a Monday afternoon. Leggy brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW Local 68. You start with a job, you end with a career. We're starting with a career right now for running back R.J. Harvey. Leggy, speaking of legs, my God, get a load of those quads that dude's got going on out there. But of what you saw out of him, in pass-catching drills, with the caveat of this is rookie mini camp and doesn't resemble anything even close to real football. But of what you saw of R.J. Harvey, what clues were you able to decipher as to what his usage could be?
Well, I think they were pretty clear on, he's going to play some third downs no matter where he is on the pass protection meter or the rest of it. Their plan, the vision, as Sean Payton calls it, is he appears in this offense in every down and distance situation at some point, and that they'll adjust pass protections to keep him out of harm's way or keep him up until he's up to speed, and that would put him more in the passing game. And I think it's clear. And they liked it when they looked at his game video coming out, the wheel routes, the so-called rail routes. They love all of those things and think he can do that from the first day of the season. And, I think that's Saturday. That's a lot of what we saw in the passing game for him were the routes they already know he can run well and have some impact. And he did show that, as, he showed what he was good at already, and they gave him that forum. They have big plans for him. It's very clear he likes this player and plans on using him in a variety of situations.
All right, tell me about the receiver, the receiver that won a contract this weekend. What are you thinking of the rookie receiving class there?
Yeah, no, he flashed. He did what a trial player can do, which is in a very short time frame, with very little, install going on. I mean, they install before practices, and then they see how you've retained the information, and it's hard to make that much of an impact in a couple of days. But he flashed, even in the time we were in there, as the other players they signed did too. You could tell those guys were having an impact. It was just a matter of, are they having enough impact for them to actually go the next step, which is, okay, you're going to be here for the rest of the offseason, because those players were all folded into, the phase one work the rest of the team is doing. They did that today. All the rookies, the tryout guys who were signed, they were all folded today into the full team. So you're in it now, if you're the rookies or these other guys, until they adjourn after the mandatory minicamp next month.
By the way, that's rookie wide receiver Kyrese White out of Utah State there. 5'10", $185, smaller dude, but coming off a 526-yard season with 3 tutties last year for the Aggies. Kyrese White out of Utah State.
In the nuts and bolts, he really showed the ability to get in and out of the routes and a real sort of suddenness to his game, and it stood out. So, and that's with guys throwing him the ball who aren't going to be here. So if you can make, again, he did the ultimate of what you can do in those tryout situations, which is turn 48 hours into an entire off season.
Yeah, not bad at all. By the way, an Ogden, Utah native, but he apparently eschewed Weber State to go down the road to Logan, Utah, and Utah State. I just really wanted to drop my Utah geography knowledge.
You know all the Utah
I really
stops.
do. That's right.
Where do you get a beer, smart guy? Impress me that way. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Colorado.
That's what I thought.
Is the answer right there. Leggy, Dre Greenlaw, we got an update on the injury, or at least the most in-depth update that we have gotten. Is our regional panic, is it quelled after finding out that he's going to be okay and ready for training camp?
Well, I mean, that's what they say, but my strategy.
That's right.
I see it with my own eyes, but he was very definitive after Saturday's practice that he would be ready to go for training. A full participant is the words he used. So, and that's kind of the message they were given any of us who asked behind the scenes, is that, yeah, he's injured. And yeah, that's, something to consider because that's why they got him at the price they did. But this particular injury is not expected to keep him out of training camp at all, which would mean he would be on track to be, to play in the regular season as they hope.
All right. There was a report, and I put it out because I'd read it and I thought it was interesting, and now I'm hoping that where I read it from is credible, but so I apologize, Ray. You know what? I've disappointed you, Leggy. Did the Colts actually protest the Broncos coming to Germany or block it in some way? The story was the Broncos are going to London now to likely play the Jets. They thought they were going to Germany, and I believe both the Paytons talked about their desire to go to Germany. But because the Colts hold the marketing rights the way in Germany, the way the Broncos do in Mexico City, they were allowed to say, no, we don't want to play them, and now they're playing the Falcons. Is this true, or are we being petty on the international scene, Leggy?
No, I think a lot of it is true. The Colts, now you're not allowed to say or issue refusals or all of that. But you can sort of protest or put your
request for a different opponent
there. Yeah, you can say, okay, this bothers us. You don't get to say no, they can't, and all of that. But I believe Atlanta has some territorial rights in Germany as well, the way the Broncos do in Mexico. And I was told both of those teams had said they want to play in that game. So they have more than enough interest for the Berlin game. The Broncos were indeed interested, but in that batting order, it would almost have to be a Bronco home game, that they would surrender here for that. And I don't think they want to do that. And those other teams have sort of the inside track for this Berlin game. But the Broncos will play in Germany at some point. I have no doubt. They're one of the league's best visitors to Europe of any team in the league, and they've proven it twice, in recent memory. And the last time they were there with a team that was not good and a coach that got fired before the season ended, they had the largest media contingent of any international game the NFL has played. So the Broncos will go there at some point, but likely it will be Broncos Jets in London if things hold true and the schedule is released Wednesday.
So 2 teams that played a 10-9 barn burner last year.
It was raining, though.
It was. That's true. It was raining. Broncos.
Greatest rainstorm in history.
It doesn't rain in London, Nate. What do you? Oh, wait.
Leggy, do we have a break in the schedule as far as you know that sounds like it's lining up to be time for the Greenbrier trip?
Yes, we do.
I don't think there will be a break in there somewhere for a Greenbrier trip. I have no doubt.
Sean Payton's going to make that break.
I think the most likely sort of candidates would be, the double dip Eastern time zone games, or they play an Eastern time zone game and go directly to London. I think that either scenario will exist in the schedule somewhere.
Well, that's too bad. I needed more ghost stories from the Greenbrier. I guess we'll just see what happens here. Leggy, what do you think is the likely scenario for their opener? I had thrown out to Nate. I thought it might be fun, because I worked on a station where we really got into this. As you well know, you would join me there from time to time because it was the only topic we were allowed to talk about. But I thought it might be fun to see both Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels take each other on in the opening game of the season. Maybe a Sunday night, maybe a Monday night, but the Washington and Denver game is on the schedule there, and I just thought that might make sense for a good opening matchup. But do you have any insight to what the opener may be that you're allowed to share anyway?
No, I mean, if I was putting chips down in any fashion, and that's not my nature, but I think the Daniels Bo Nix thing is one of the bigger options. I think the other thing you're looking for that the league pays attention to is marquee team versus marquee team in terms of interest. So, the Packers are on the schedule. Cowboys are on the schedule. I mean, the Cowboys are playing the primetime opener, so it won't be them. But, something like that, I think is what you're looking for. The Giants are always a wild card for network TV people. So you got to pay attention to that too. Or the Eagles.
If you don't do chips, do you put dip down at least? I mean, are you depriving me of everything? What do you bring?
Yeah. I don't bring much to the table.
Yeah. And you don't eat much either, so I guess it's fair.
Jeff Legwold, everybody. ESPN, get his updates there. Get all the latest of what's going on, rookie minicamp, all that good stuff. Leggy, well done as always, man.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, the great Jeff Legwold stopping by. Want to give everybody a quick update before the break. I know there was rabid curiosity in this market when it comes to this very topic.
Yes.
So, Andy, we got a brief viewing window yesterday of Game 2 of the semifinals of the PWHL.
Yeah, is that what that was?
The Montreal Victoire and the Ottawa Charge.
Now, look, it was in overtime. I believe next goal won.
It was in double overtime.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what, though? That wasn't enough overtime. That's right, everybody. In the fourth overtime, the Victoire got the victory over the Charge.
Yeah! Now, is it the playoffs?
It's the playoffs.
Okay.
It's the playoffs.
Playoffs?
I have no idea if I'm saying Victoire correctly
now, let's
or
roll
not.
it. I like it.
But, yes, we got a brief viewing window in the middle of in the fourth quarter of Game 4 of a tightly contested NBA playoff game where apparently somebody in the truck, I don't know, just like leaned over and put his elbow on the wrong button, and suddenly we had PWHL hockey on mute on our televisions.
Did it do us a favor because Jokic apparently missed both free throws?
Right.
I was like, how are you going to miss it? And I was like, crap, it doesn't matter anyway.
Because we're watching Lady Puck.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, and then they're running an offense, and I saw the score for the Nuggets had not changed.
Did everybody do the thing that I did, by the way, where I thought one of my kids sat on the remote? And I was just like, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, is there a hacker? What is happening here? And my daughter, because my daughter weren't. I don't know why my daughter and I didn't watch this game in the same room, but I guess we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And
was she watching the Victoire and the Charge?
She didn't expect to, but yeah,
we all did.
And my daughter,
none of us asked for it, but we got it.
Like again, the elevation of my daughter's fandom of the Nuggets has been something to watch because she cussed like she was on a crab boat when that thing switched over. I was like, calm down in there. I'm sure it'll come back. Are you kidding me? Relax.
Had a moment on Saturday where my 7-year-old said, and I quote, "I can't open the damn door." To which her mom said, "What did you say?" I said, "I can't open the damn door." Then she looked at me, and I just had to raise my hand and go, "It's on me."
Dads
that's
always
me.
get blamed. I had one time.
No, I know I did it.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm the one that lets it fly in front of the kid.
There's been more than one time where I've said, "Please don't say that in front of your grandma."
I just love though that she just repeated it of just like, yeah, I can't open the damn door. I know what you mean. That damn door is frustrating. I had problems with the damn door this weekend, let me tell you.
That's where it came from. It's always great when they're as innocent can be, and they just say the worst word possible.
I can't open it.
Like, all right. You know what got me that I knew they were retaining stuff?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter one time in the car started singing as loud as could be "My Own Worst Enemy."
Uh-huh.
You know the lyrics to that one?
I don't.
I beat the living out of me.
Oh, yeah, I remember that song.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, she yelled it for 3 cars to hear as we sit right out. I was like, all right.
That's a good line.
I guess what Hannah Montana song do you want to listen to? Because
let's go back to partying in the USA right now. David Adelman yesterday was asked, has he considered extending the bench? Here was DA after the game yesterday.
You're right. And I think it's one of those things when you lose a game, you think about everything right away. And you wonder, is Jamal's legs a little fresher if you can go 2 more minutes. And I was trying to use my timeouts effectively in the fourth quarter to rest them. Sometimes the timeouts don't mean anything but that. I've talked about that. And you're right, it's tough. But you have to look back at the game, see what the efficiency was of how we played. Obviously, we were very tired, as they were. And take a look at the whole roster of guys that can help you, and give you a couple minutes of energy. And it's like tonight, I only played Peyton 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I thought Peyton was really impactful. He played super hard. And that's all you can do with the minutes that you're given. But yeah, we've rode our guys throughout the season for good reason. It's an amazing starting 5. But I got to try to be as creative as I can be to help them have some legs late in the game.
I don't think there's any easy answer to the puzzle, but I do know that Peyton Watson, I thought he was good yesterday. I thought he was good in game 3. He does need to play more than 8 minutes and 40 seconds. You got to find that rest wherever you can possibly find it, discover it somewhere. You look up at the end of the game, and God, these games have been so damn weird, Andy, but like Russell Westbrook's a -20 yesterday. Michael Porter's a +15 yesterday. Porter a +15 despite being 1 of 7 from the field.
Yeah, whoa.
I don't know.
Serious?
I don't know.
Are we sure we calculated that? I mean, I'm not trying to knock on Mike, but I don't remember a run that you'd be in for to have plus anything.
I mean, one of the other parts of it, too, is like Jokic has struggled when Porter hasn't been on the floor because Porter does space it a little bit. Like there is a little bit more room. The Thunder don't care. In fact, they want Westbrook and Christian Brown to shoot as often as they possibly can. They're even okay with Aaron Gordon shooting. And AG's making them.
And they shouldn't be.
Yeah, AG's making them pay. But their whole thing is just like, look, man, we lost game 1 when Joker went for 42. We're not letting that happen again. And they're living and dying by it, and they lived with it yesterday. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, apparently 21-0 in a baseball game is enough to completely erase what you said out loud 24 hours earlier. We'll take you through the saga of the Rockies weekend and the eventual dismissal of one Budrick Black. That's coming up next.
fly ball, right center field. It is back towards the bullpen, and it's going to run up against the wall. Cronenworth making his way around the bases. He will score the 21st run of the game for the Padres.
Yes, the 21st. That was Saturday night. So here we go. Here was the run of ball games after the rainout last week in Game 1 against the Tigers. They lose 8-6, first game of the series. Then they have the doubleheader where they lose by a combined 21-3.
Yeah, but at least that was 2 games.
Friday night, Padres blow them out 13-9. Rockies at least rallied late in that game. I think they were down 12-2 at one point. Saturday night, 21-0. Bounce back yesterday, win 9-3. However, not enough. Bud Black fired after the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Been the Rockies skipper since 2017, a franchise's all-time leader in games managed, games won, games lost. For that matter, Bud Black is out. This is what I keep coming back to.
Okay.
My frustration with this is, and I'll say why now, and the answer is they're 7-33.
Sure.
Okay? Like, I'm not going to argue for 1 second that Bud Black deserved to keep his job.
No.
He's the manager of a Major League Baseball team. He is tasked with winning and developing and improvement, and none of that was happening, and so he needed to be fired, okay? I'm okay with it. Here's my biggest problem with the way that this was done, because, Andy, when you and I talk about the issues that plague this ball club and how it's gotten to this point, one of the things that we always discuss is how open are you, willing or otherwise, to allowing an outside voice into your baseball operation to look at how you're drafting, who you're drafting, how you're developing, who you're going after in free agency, what you're doing in terms of the trade market, all of those things that the Rockies do objectively across the board wrong. They run it wrong. That's how you get to a place where you go 7-33. All right. Bud Black deserved to be fired after last season, just like Bill Schmidt deserved to be fired after last season, just like everybody deserved to be fired at the end of last season, their second consecutive 100-lost year. The Rockies didn't do it. They stuck with Bud Black. In fact, Andy, they made Bud Black write. Do you remember the letter to season ticket holders? They made Bud Black write that last year. Dick Monfort didn't write a letter to season ticket holders. Bud Black wrote a letter to season ticket holders. How the hell is that the manager's job? Either way, this is just they had made Bud Black the voice of the organization, the face of the organization, the guy that had to stand there and answer for poor work being done all the levels above him every single day, and he went out and he did it. But you should have done it last year. This is why I hate this, okay? If you fire him at the end of last season, well, then what do you have to do? You got to conduct a search, okay? Then you got to bring people in. You have to bring people in from outside your organization, and you have to ask them, what do you think about the way we run things around here? Okay? And you have to have honest conversations. And you might even hire somebody that's like, well, if you want me to manage your ball club, well, then I need X, Y, and Z. I need you to invest in these areas. I need analytics. I need labs. I need better operations for developing, for working off the field and on the field, like all of these tools that I will require that the Rockies don't seem to be all that terribly interested in investing in. Like Dick Monfort would have to hear perhaps criticism, constructive or otherwise, of the way that he runs his baseball operation. He doesn't do that, okay? He just keeps Bud Black and lets Bud Black start the season, and it goes awful. Okay, just as everybody projected that it would be, and somehow they ended up worse. They fire Bud Black. They promote Warren Schaefer. Okay, now by all indications, I've been told by people that have dealt with Warren Schaefer, great dude, great guy, great energy. The players have spoken highly of him. He managed. He played for the Rockies organization. He managed in AA at Hartford. He managed in AAA in Albuquerque. He's very well liked by players and people around the organization alike. I think Warren Schaefer, could potentially have a positive impact on all this. But what's my biggest problem with him? He's only ever been in one organization his entire life, his entire professional baseball life. He has only been a part of this whole thing, meaning he will now step into a managerial role let's be honest, he's going to keep the job. He'll be the manager beyond this season, and he already knows exactly how Rocky's business is conducted. So nothing's going to change. You rearranged a deck chair on a sinking ship, but it doesn't change anything. Nobody's going to be demanding that things are done better, that investment is done more intelligently, that baseball business is done better. None of that is going to change. The Rockies will just remain baseball Siberia, this weird insular little baseball cocoon in the Rocky Mountains. That's why I hate this.
Well, those are all valid reasons as well.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, whether you kept Bud till the end of the year or not, I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. Nobody cares. No one's going to care. What I think they've got the chance to do, because Schmidt needs to follow him. Okay, Schmidt's been with this organization for 26 years. You need to go too. He does not need to dodge this thing.
Andy, how about I was telling Tyler and Scotty about this before you came in. Bill Schmidt's worked for this team since 1999.
Yeah, that's the year that Leland showed up, and he was in the minors most of that.
Senior scouting director Mark Gustafson. This was in the story in The Athletic today. Mark Gustafson has worked for the club since 93. So is international scouting director Rolando Fernandez. Chris Forbes, senior director of player development, has been with the team since 2006. The Rockies pro scouting director Sterling Monfort, who is the son of Dick Monfort. Like, all of these people that we're talking about are Rockies lifers.
Well, and that's what Dick wants. He wants people around that aren't going to tell him and he needs to do stuff otherwise. Look, nothing was more glaring of a problem, of the dysfunction of how this thing works. First off, Vol said it. You want to fire the guy? Fine. But why didn't you fire him after the 21-0? Why did you wait until basically the end of a Nuggets playoff game to try to slip that one under the radar? Ryan Spielborg put out a great video of how odd it was because the team in the clubhouse for the first time actually had some good vibes, and we're trying to have just a little bit of a party of just thank God we at least snapped a losing streak, and then they get water dumped on them by the fact that they just burned the manager.
There's a line of guys waiting to go in and give Bud Black a hug.
Yeah. So your timing was odd. Schmidt comes out and gives the vote of confidence because apparently Schmidt and Monfort aren't talking. Monfort was the one who signed the letter in the statement to Rockies fans on Twitter yesterday. So he clearly made a decision that apparently he wasn't going to allow Schmidt to be in on. Otherwise, I don't think Schmidt would have been giving this vote of confidence to the Denver Post just a little bit earlier.
We'll talk to Patrick Saunders at 5:20, who talked to Schmidt on Saturday, who put his weight behind and a vote of confidence into Bud Black, who was then fired the next day.
You know what I would like to see? And again, I'm not just trying to have some vendetta against Schmidt. I would get rid of Schmidt because right now, to me, here's what I think you ought to do. You need to go and hire a GM right now. And not even to necessarily come in and enact change right away. Take this season, because the thing that I'm starting to get a little frustrated with, even though I get it, I read an article in SI that Patrick had retweeted earlier, and it talked about how impossible it is to play baseball here in Denver because the ball doesn't break and the outfield's too big. And
we get it.
All the traditional gripes you've ever heard. But if that's really the case, then get your new GM in here and give him the rest of this season to really taste what his problems are. Really kind of get in here, see it for yourself, and let him think about it the rest of this miserable season, what exactly he's going to do. But to your point, if this is ever going to get fixed, I don't think Dick can't be the owner. The Monforts can own it all they want, but you've got to get out of the way. You've got to get out of the way.
You know, and maybe, and again, these are pipe dreams. These are things we're talking about that are never going to happen, okay? What if you installed a person to actually be the, team president, somebody at the Kelly McGregor level that is a buffer between ownership and the baseball organization, and you allow said individual to, do, to your point, a complete audit of everything that is done, the way it is done with this organization, and allow that individual to put their own people in place. Because right now, running it with all of the sycophants that currently run the baseball operation over there, it's just going further and further downhill. And Andy, you're right. Like, yes, it's hard to win in Colorado. But what's the biggest problem with this team right now? They don't have good players. That's okay. Like, get good players.
Yeah.
You've
And
had
lots of
good
them.
players before. You've had lots of good players before, and you won baseball games. It's almost as though talent is able to overcome the inherent challenges. I'm not going to pretend for 1 second they don't exist, but why is the team this bad? It's not because of thin air. It's because they suck.
Yeah, you don't have interesting prospects. You don't have very good players that you don't. They laid it out in the SI article. You don't trade for good players. You don't sign good free agents. You just kind of putz along how you are right now, keeping it going, and there's just no desire. Again, if attendance falls enough, then maybe it'll make some change happen. But they had 38,000 people at that 21-0 game the other night.
Yeah,
I had friends at that game that said, you know what that turned into? Folks going and basically grabbing their beers and hitting the batting cages and doing all the things on the concourse.
They were in the wave in the sixth. They were having a great time. Dick Monfort's statement. Our play so far this season, especially coming off the last 2 seasons, has been unacceptable. Well, hold on. Coming off the last 2 seasons when you've lost 100-plus games, I'm sorry, what notable changes did you make in order to improve the club? Oh, yeah, you didn't. Okay, so especially coming off the last 2 seasons, I would replace the word unacceptable with expected. Then he writes, our fans deserve better and we are capable of better. Nope. I disagree with that. I don't believe you're capable of better. This team was projected to be the worst team in baseball, and it is the worst team in baseball.
And it suffered injuries.
Yeah.
The projected worst team in baseball now has lost guys.
Right. Again, I can't argue for 1 second that Bud Black or Mike Redmond deserved to have their jobs, but ultimately, they are framing this as a play of accountability to their fan base. Oh, we're taking accountability for it. And I would argue they're taking really not a meaningful look in the slightest bit at what is happening right now and actually altering anything that is going on. I think that they'll play a little bit better and they'll win more games with Warren Schaefer as their manager. And again, I made this argument before to Hastings and Tyler of just because the law of averages says you have to. You can't just keep playing 7-33 baseball. Maybe in the next 40 games you'll win, 15.
Yeah, but they had the one where, what did they do? They beat somebody and then went and beat the Giants a week ago to start the series. 1-2 in a row. Remember that?
Yeah, they beat the Braves.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they beat the Giants.
They got the last one from the Braves and the first one from the Giants.
And then they lost 8
in a row.
And
I thought to myself, maybe this is where they actually win 5 of 8 or go back to, just regressing. You get to the mean somehow. It wouldn't be regressing, but you actually play up to the mean a little bit for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. No, they didn't do that.
No. That ended.
Rockies Rangers coming up tonight in Texas. Patrick Saunders going to join us 20 minutes after 5 o'clock. And Bud Black, in the meantime, gets to continue to collect a paycheck from Dick Monfort and not have to go watch this every single day. So good for him, I suppose. We'll take a break. When we come back, playoff play back. Where did it all go so right and then so wrong for the Nuggets in Game 4? We'll find that out through the words of Jason Kosmiski next. Coming up 5 o'clock, 5 biggest stories of the day from around the Nuggets and Thunder as game number 5 coming up here tomorrow back in OKC. We are live in the Backus and Shanker studios. We are Kreckman and Lindahl. Oh, fun weekend. Friday night a lot cooler than yesterday, so let's go back and dig into it. We are knotted up at 2 games apiece in this series, Andy. Let's go to the opening quarter. And let's play audio of a Nuggets bucket from the first quarter because they literally only had 2 of them. One was a Christian Brown dunk, and one was this.
High right side is Aaron Gordon. Take the ball to the hole. Gordon has it on the elbow. Throws out of it on top to Murray. Murray, long stride in the paint, up and under. Left-handed layup is good, and we're tied up at 7 points apiece.
Yeah, nice play right there by Jamal, going right at Caruso and getting that bucket right there. First quarter numbers. Andy, cover your ears. This is bad. The Nuggets, 2 of 22. That is a 9% field goal rate. 0 for 14 from 3. I don't even have to look that up. That's 0%. They did make 4 of 6 free throws in the opening quarter. They scored 8 points. 8,
man. 8. Only to be, OKC doubles them up and gets to 17. Are you kidding me?
The fans couldn't sit down until Michael Porter made a free throw like over 3 minutes
I was
into
like,
the
are they
game.
really going to do this? At what point are you just you're making it obvious you haven't sat down yet, which means we don't have a bucket?
I was looking too because did you notice Vic was in the altitude TV spot? There was one point where Adam and I saw Vic right behind him, and Vic's being a good Denver guy and doing the standing thing, but he's like ducking down.
Yeah, he's crouched down.
Yeah, he's crouched down. I'm like, I bet he's getting uncomfortable.
Nah,
right
you
now.
know why he's good? It's like riding a Vespa, which he has. By the way, did you see who also was in the sight line of Vic?
Who's that?
You didn't notice who was in between the two in the really new fancy
the
seats they
Paytons.
put in?
Yeah.
The Paytons
Yeah.
and some lady friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're George Payton, do you want to go to the game with Sean Payton?
Well, they're sitting right next to each other.
Right. Like, I'm assuming he was invited, and it was like, well, I have to say
Come
yes.
on. Off-season Sean Payton might be the best
That's
time
true.
you can find.
That's true.
Now, is this November? No.
Right.
No, I don't want to go.
Right.
You're stressed out and chewing nails, so no thank you. But off-season May Sean Payton? Hell yeah, let's go.
I wonder if George, though, is just like, I need some space from this guy. I've heard enough about the Joker, okay? My weekend is
trying to find a
time.
goddamn Joker.
Yeah, but once all the Jokers flew off the board, do you think Sean just kind of left? Was like, whatever. You
Courtside.
can have what you want.
Courtside. You make that trade, I suppose. 17-8 after one. At least the Nuggets weren't down 20, which they easily could have been. We go to the second quarter. I isolated this highlight because I thought it was critical. There was 9:12 left in the second quarter. So we were roughly 15 minutes of basketball into the game, and this is the Denver Nuggets making their first jump shot of the night. Never mind. It never actually happened.
Nope. No, you know what? This happened to me. They're updating firmware.
Okay.
Mine already did the shutdown during the Jeff Legwald portion of the show.
Good.
So I think Spring just got his turn. Yours is coming. Don't you worry.
Firmware is getting updated
The firmware
right
is
now?
being updated.
Good.
It started when Kevin walked in to give us some good news, and then the good news didn't last because my computer went out.
Good thing we scheduled the segment for when we need the computer.
Try it. He wants to try it.
All right,
Let's see what happens,
Let's
baby.
find out. Does Aaron Gordon make this shot or not?
Murray has it at the midcourt circle, guarded by Alex Caruso. He gets a high pick there from Aaron Gordon. Another pick from Gordon. Murray through the window to AG, 10-footer. Yes, finally. Denver's third bucket of the basketball game. That stops a streak of missing 13 in a row. Denver's within 11.
Again, you can miss 13 shots in a row and you're only down 11.
This game was so hideous.
It's a victory.
So hideous. Did you see Adelman call it disgusting after the game?
Just a real playoff rock fest of a game.
What I love is you've already got two guys that don't necessarily love having to comment on the Nuggets anyway.
Yeah.
And halftime features Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins, although Perkins was extremely complimentary of the Nuggets after Game 3.
As well he should have been. Yeah, he was. I actually kind of liked some of the breakdown that he was given right there. I thought he was talking hoops. Jamal,
What do you want to do? What do you want to roll the dice with?
Let's see if the computer works this time. Christian Brown did not have a good jump shooting game, nor did really anybody, but he was effective in transition. 3:23 to go.
Goes to the right hand, shoots over Christian. That jump shot won't go. Rebound comes down to Gordon. Long outlet pass over to Christian. One man to beat. He goes to the rack, leans in, layup. Good! Nuggets within 5. Timeout called by Oklahoma City.
Yeah, transition opportunities tough to find in that game last night, and Nuggets got to take them when they're there, and they did. Not a good opening half for Nikola Jokic, really not a good game in general for Nikola Jokic, but he was 1 of 8 from the field before this, his final shot of the half.
Murray has it at the midcourt circle. 10 seconds left to go here in the first half. High pick there from Gordon. 7. He goes to the right hand, horns up action. 4. Jokic has it at the point. Head fake, steps into a long 2. Got it! 0.1 seconds left to go, and that'll be it at halftime. Jokic up and under from the three-point line, threw that thing on a frozen rope.
Was a frozen rope. It was technically a 3, by the way. His the toe of his sneaker just a hair behind the line. Jokic's second made field goal of the first half. And Denver was down 6 at the break, 42-36. Thank God he made that one. We go to the third quarter. Half started with a big-time dunk by MPJ, and then the Nuggets did a miraculous thing in the third quarter. They actually made shots. Let's hear from Aaron Gordon.
Rebound down to Holmgren. He's got Jokic to beat. Loses the basketball. Jokic picked him clean. Back the other way comes Denver. Here's for the lead, Christian, no. Murray, no. He puts it on the floor. Gets in the paint, throws it to Gordon for the lead. Yeah! Denver leads it 53-52. Timeout, Thunder!
Patient possession by the Nuggets. By the way, that was one of Jokic's 4 steals yesterday. Picked Chet's pocket clean on that play. Jokic had a really good defensive game. I can't complain about any effort he gave you on the defensive end of the floor, including 13 defensive rebounds yesterday. He just didn't have a single offensive rebound. But honestly, Jokic's rebounding is a big part, Andy, of why that first quarter didn't completely get away from him. If the Thunder just get 2, 3 second chance opportunities, that game might have been over quick.
Yeah. I thought at the start of the game, they had a couple possessions where they rebounded the ball really well, bought themselves 2-3 extra possessions on the offensive end. But then it just, you know what, Nate, this is why they couldn't get momentum going. It's a great kind of single out by you, because they would get some, again, he would get one. MPJ got one, Russ got one, but then they'd miss all 3 shots again.
Clank,
it's almost
clank.
You know what I mean? You just got nothing to feel good about.
No, they emptied the tank on Friday night. Honestly, after Friday night, and I was having this debate actually with Nick Kosmiter. We were debating over text on Friday night because our lives are really cool. And he was like, I kind of like the Nuggets on Sunday, and honestly, I was just like, I think they might lose by 30 on Sunday, just because of how much they just completely emptied it out, played an overtime game, and the thing was the Thunder felt the effects as well. But ultimately, why did the Thunder pull away? Because they actually have reserves that'll go in the game and make shots, and the Nuggets don't.
Yeah,
and that was the difference.
That's really it is unbelievable how they could make their simplest. They kept on TV, they kept saying. Stepping into his office. SGA kept getting to his office, and so would get into there was no office for the Nuggets to occupy.
They didn't have one. 4:46 to go. Let's make another 3. This time Jamal Murray off the dribble.
Outlet pass off over to Jamal Murray. Russell Westbrook is up and off the bench here for the Nuggets. Murray goes to the left hand for a triple. Buckets. 6-point lead for Denver. Thunder timeout.
69-63 after 3 quarters. Nice. Nuggets 7 of 11 from deep in the third quarter. Then they go -5 in the non-Jokic minutes. Nuggets went up 73-66. OKC responded with an 11-0 run. And then with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game, out of a timeout, Christian Brown to inbound the basketball.
Denver basketball out of the timeout. 5-second count on Christian Brown after the timeout. goodness. You just can't do that. Just throw it the length of the floor. Now down low is Caruso. Caruso inbound to Alexander. Alexander guarded by Christian Brown. He goes to the right hand. Spin move, wing jump shot. That one's up and in. Tough shot, and he got it to go.
All right, do you agree with Scott Hastings? He said it to you in crosstalk. He told it to me last night. He felt like that right there was what cost them the game. It was being unable to inbound.
Yeah, it's a 3-point game. It goes back to a 2-score game when they get that bucket right there, and it's just a deflating possession. It's like it's everybody just had a brain fart. You know, CB took the ball too early before everybody was set. DA didn't have everybody ready for press break. MPJ's cut with Jalen Williams defending him left something to be desired, we shall say. Yeah, it symbolically, it was a bad moment in the basketball game. The Nuggets still had chances to make shots, and they flat out didn't.
And they were missing free throws after that.
And then with 2:20 to go, SGA closed the door.
And here comes Jalen Williams. 2.5 minutes left to go in game number 4 in Denver. Has it on the right side over to Alexander. He goes to the left hand, split the defenders, gets down the lane, wide open layup again. They get right to the rim.
Yep, right to the rim, and that was pretty much it. AG Woodbank in a 3, so if you bet Denver +6, you can thank Aaron Gordon for that. But the Nuggets fall 92-87. In game number 4, we will hear from David Adelman, Nikola Jokic on why he's struggling to shoot the basketball, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Mark Dagnall. That is all coming up next in the High Five. Coming up at 5:20, we'll talk to Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post, one of the last remaining regular beat writers still covering the Colorado Rockies. Bill Schmidt told him on Saturday that Bud Black's job was safe. By Sunday afternoon, Bud Black was fired. Boy, a lot can change in, 30 hours or so. So we'll talk to Patrick about that coming up here at 5:20. But right now, it's time for the High Five, the 5 biggest stories of the day from around this second-round series between the Nuggets and the Thunder. Here's John Tesh. By the way, speaking of the NBA on NBC, announcement today, Michael Jordan. Heard of him? Michael Jordan will be a special contributor to NBC's NBA coverage. Andy, that's right. Mike is going to be sitting there in his weird lone chair inside his giant mansion taking things personally.
Stop it. Get some help.
By the way, we got another little piece of breaking news that Steve. Now, don't ruin the Tesh.
Oh.
Broncos Chiefs Christmas night.
Hey, that's fun.
On Prime.
There you go. Didn't the Chiefs say they wanted Christmas
They want it every year.
theirs?
And I said let them have it.
Yeah, by all means.
Because if they're going to do this every year and mess with the weeks, you know what I mean? Like, again, Christmas isn't, we all know it falls on different days. You're going to be messing with that schedule every year at the end of the year.
Well, plus the NFL will be like, yeah, you can have it until Mahomes is gone. And then
right,
we don't
then
need
you cannot, well, please make that.
Yeah.
Remember how Detroit was not fun when
Right.
Barry was gone?
Right,
Let's
right.
put a caveat in there.
Yeah,
Anyway.
The NFL's like, we learned our lesson
Yes.
on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Spring.
All right, let's do the high five brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Hey, the Nuggets had a 6-point lead at the end of the third quarter, 69-63. Won the third quarter 33-21, then lost the fourth quarter 29-18 in Game 4 yesterday. Lost by 5. David Adelman, after the game, was asked about not being able to keep it going from the third to the fourth.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you can't make a shot, at some point it's going to affect you. I could not believe the guys throughout the first half, when nothing's going good for you offensively, how it never affected the energy on the other end. And when you do that, you stay in the game. And I'm sure that wasn't the most fun game to watch in the first half at all, but we were just trying to stay in the game, and we did. And then to make that run in the third quarter with defensive energy and collapsing and just flying around, winning the defensive rebound, the 50-50, it gave us a chance, and we saw a couple shots go in finally. I think it loosened up the guys a little bit offensively during that stanza. But all the stuff we talk about, it's tough. I'm putting them in a zone. I mean, they had 15 offensive rebounds. We got to do our best to keep them off the glass, but I was really proud of the effort. We just didn't play well enough to win.
And he mentioned using that zone defense. It was actually pretty effective, I thought. But here's the problem is you can shoot over a zone, and in the fourth quarter, the Thunder made 3 threes, 2 from Case and Wallace, and 1 from Aaron Wiggins. Like, the Nuggets, that's what they want to force. They want to force guys like that to shoot threes and have the ball not in Shea's hands, not in Jalen Williams' hands. But if those guys are going to make shots and the Nuggets don't have anybody that can do that, that's going to kill you.
Yeah, it was 42-36 at halftime.
Sure was.
I can't get past that.
They had 8 points in the first quarter.
36-point half out of this team.
Unreal.
And so, again, we could talk about all the defense you want to, and obviously Oklahoma City was affected by fatigue, too, when they only put up 92 points.
Yep.
But seriously, like you said, none of your defensive, none of this stuff matters. You make a great point about them hitting threes over your zone. You got exactly what you wanted, and they killed you anyway. But, Nate, if you can't score more than 36 and a half, if you can't score more than 18 in the fourth quarter, you're not going to win many more games in this series.
And Nikola Jokic, 7 of 22 from the field. Spring, why is he struggling so much?
High five.
Yeah, he's under 40% from the field in his last 3 games. Jokic, after yesterday's loss, was asked why he is struggling with his shot over the last 3 games.
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, they're playing really good defense on me. They're really into my body, handsy, physical. And I think I missed like 2-3 open looks tonight. So it's a little bit of everything, They're shrinking the ball. They're shrinking the floor from me. They're having guy behind the defender. So it's a little bit of everything, So it's I need to do a better job, of course, but it's part of the game.
We're so used to watching him solve everything in real time, and what's been so weird about the last 3 games is he's not been solving it. He's getting frustrated by it. He's turning his frustrations toward the officials. Now, let's not pretend for 1 second like Jokic is playing poorly. He is still the best rebounder in this series. He is playing outstanding defense. He's still averaging 5 assists per game. He's still averaging over 20 points per game scoring-wise, but when it's not done at his usual efficiency, especially the looks that he likes to get, that they like to get him in that offense, and he's missing makeable buckets, that's troubling, and that's really weird to watch.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's still 27. He chips in yesterday. Now 11 came from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I thought was it Jay Billis was our color analyst yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Thought Jay made an excellent point. I mean, just very astute. There was the one open shot down the stretch that Nikola took that he normally makes, and he didn't. And I do think it affects the mood of the team when some of those usual count on it shots aren't falling for him. And it was in the middle of them trying to build the lead or rally or whatever, and you could just feel the air come out of the balloon a bit.
When you get Jokic, his shots and his spot, that's a winning possession. And you're absolutely right about that. When you miss that shot, then it's like, damn, we did everything right, and we came away empty.
Now, look, some of that was going on Friday night, but you got to credit Gordon and Porter and Murray all picked up for
We're all
him.
great.
It wasn't something you had to worry about.
The Michael Porter series is I mean, I want to say it's crazy. It's the shoulder, and we know what he's going through. But when you look at his shooting, Game 1, 1 of 8. Game 2, 2 of 10. Game 3, 7 of 10. Yesterday, 1 of 7.
And just not looking comfortable again. Not taking I thought Jamal, and Christian all had quick shot threes that they just didn't put up. Now, they weren't falling, so I don't know what to say about it. But
Porter airballed his first 3.
I know.
As soon as you saw that, it was like, ooh.
Well, you know the shoulder's got to be sore.
You know it. You know it. Still had 9 rebounds. Give him all the credit in the world. Go ahead, Spring.
High five.
Jamal Murray, after the game, was asked by Vic Lombardi this question, and Jamal didn't really want to have any of it.
Can you lean on the confidence that you've been there, done that, you've won there? I mean,
it's best out of 3. It's not a funeral, guys. It's best out of 3. We lost the game. On to the next.
Honestly, like, I want him to have that perspective right now. And really, like, I think this team is not terribly uncomfortable in that spot. What's so funny about yesterday's game is, yes, it was hideously ugly. It's also like the way Denver has to play to win games right now. They got to win the tight ones. But there's also, I say that, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth for a minute. The Nuggets have to play tight games like that. But the danger in playing tight games like that is what you see out of a game like yesterday, where shot-making variance then can get you. The thing about clutch games, which the Nuggets want to be in against this opponent, is that you lose clutch games sometimes because they kind of become coin flip affairs and you sort of live dangerously. Like, I believe the Nuggets can be the better clutch team over the balance of the entire series, but it's impossible to win every single one of those games.
Well, it is, and Murray's the perfect example because he made so many difficult shots on Friday night.
Right.
High off the glass, going in, and he wasn't making those as much yesterday. And frankly, he didn't even get to the rim to try to make those at points yesterday.
He took 15 shots in that game. Dempsey pointed out Jamal's got to shoot the ball more. Caruso, Dort, they get the credit, but Jamal just has to rise and fire more often. He didn't have legs yesterday either.
High five.
Let's hear from Aaron Gordon talking after yesterday's game. And Game 3 finished late Friday night. Game 4 tipped just after 1:30 on Sunday afternoon, less than 48 hours apart. Did that contribute to the Nuggets only scoring 8 points in the first quarter?
Absolutely. You have a 8:30 game that goes into overtime. And then you have a 1 p.m. game. And 36 hours turnaround, playing the highest level of basketball that you can possibly play. But it's part of it, you know. That's something that we got to get through.
It's bad scheduling. It's not the first time it's ever happened. The late Friday night, early afternoon turnaround happens every single year in the postseason. Teams have dealt with it before. The Nuggets have dealt with it before. And it's Aaron Gordon saying that. You can be like, well, he's making excuses right now. Okay, fine. It also is what happened. and they were all exhausted, and it was an ugly basketball game. Chet said it at the first media timeout, talking to our buddy George Sedano. This is what the players are dealing with, and yeah, it's bad scheduling, but whatever. The Pacers Cavs played earlier on Friday, so they got flipped to the late game, and that's just the way that it goes sometimes, and everybody had to deal with it.
Yeah.
Still makes for an ugly basketball game.
I do wonder, there's just though times where there's a common sense party where you think, okay, you've got an East Coast-based team or East Coast-based series. Why not put that in the 1 o'clock or the 1:30 window, 3:30 later in the afternoon? Let this time zone have the later. But it's not what they did. And, again, both teams dealt with it. Both teams were tired. I think it's what led to the ugly shooting. I don't know that.
And guess what? The Thunder are deeper.
Yeah.
They're not as affected by it.
And I appreciate Charles Barkley sounding off about that, but the reality is you get paid to put good rosters together, and we all know that there's a reason why this team's doing a GM search at this point.
Well said. And finally,
high five.
Thunder coach Mark Dagnall talking today at Thunder practice, and he was asked about the Thunder possibly getting the momentum back in this series. Does he believe in momentum?
I'm not a big momentum in the series type guy. It's like every game is a new game, and the teams have alternated wins to this point, so that would be evidence against, carryover from game to game. I think every game's its own entity. Ball's going to go up in the air tomorrow night. Better team's going to win tomorrow, and however you get yourself there to be the better team, that's our challenge. But we can't rely on anything from the past. Tomorrow, we have to be fully present and just play our best game in Game 5. That's what it all comes down to.
Andy, I do think momentum can exist in a series. It does not exist in this series.
It has not existed the entire Nugget playoff.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, he's not wrong.
They're playing teams that are really good.
Defensively.
That are as good as they are.
Are these not the top 2 defensive teams that they've had to face in the league so far?
Yeah, basically. And if they win and they go to the next round, they'll get Minnesota. And basically they've already played 2 Minnesotas before they even get to Minnesota. The West is just – there's good defensive teams in the West, and the Nuggets have to play all of them this year.
Should they have gone for the play-in? Remember when Vic threw that in there? Would it have been an easier route if they just would have went play-in?
They would have gotten Houston. Although Houston's a lights-out defensive team. They can't score to save their lives, but they're a nightmare defensively. So, I don't know. What the hell do I know? They went to 7 against Golden State.
You would have liked Golden State, though.
Or
no, who would they have been playing? Would they still have been playing Minnesota? Is that how that would have worked out?
If they would have been the
Minnesota
7 seed, they would have gotten
OKC,
Houston.
Right.
Yeah, they would have gotten Houston. So, oh well. Is what it is. Thank you very much, Todd Bertuzzi, for stopping by the show
By the
today.
way, what Thunder song do you have in your head? That lightning and a thunder, or is it Thunder in Your Heart from Rad or Thunderstruck?
I was going to say, I usually would probably go Thunderstruck, AC/DC would probably be my first Thunder song that I would go to. Yeah. How about you?
For some dumb reason, that lightning and a thunder, I hate that song that was popular. Who was it?
Imagine Dragons,
yeah,
I want to say.
That one. I don't mind some of their music, but that song was not one of my favorites.
Okay.
And yet every time you say Thunder, that guy singing Thunder in his chorus is in my head. I need this series to be over in so many ways.
Well, good news. We don't have Mark Jones tomorrow night. We're back on TNT. We'll take a break. When we come back, Patrick Saunders will join us. Bud Black is freed from having to manage the Colorado Rockies. What happened over the weekend that Bud is now out, besides the obvious answer of a 21-0 baseball game? We'll talk to Patrick Saunders next. Game 5 tomorrow night, Nuggets and Thunder. Game 6 then on Thursday, and we have tickets to give away to you. So be listening all day, Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be giving away tickets both days. Be listening at 20 minutes past the hour. We'll give a keyword. You text it in. You are entered to win, and then your name could get called. So make sure you're listening because you can win tickets to Game 6, Nuggets Thunder. An opportunity to watch the Nuggets close out Oklahoma City coming up on Thursday night. Yeah, I said it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I said it. So Bud Black, no longer the manager of the Colorado Rockies. The Warren Schaefer era begins tonight in Texas. Joining us right now to tell us about a rather eventful weekend down there at 20th and Blake, longtime Rockies beat reporting scribe at the Denver Post, our pal Patrick Saunders. Patrick, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Good. I like how you emphasize long time.
Long time, yes. Yes, long time. One of the last ones, in fact. Yeah. Patrick, so I had this quote in my Denver Post here on Saturday. Bill Schmidt saying guys are working hard every day. They come with energy for the most part. I don't think we're at that point of firing Black. Guys still believe in what we are doing and where we are headed. We are all frustrated. They then went out and lost 21-0. Then they came back and won 9-3 on Sunday. And then Bud Black was fired. That's a dizzying 30 hours. What happened there? Why did Bill Schmidt tell you that? And then why the reversal?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I have not had a chance either on the record or in public to ask Bill Schmidt that. Saturday afternoon, I mean, we all saw the writing on the wall, so to speak, but I wanted to get a sense of where Schmidt thought the franchise was. So before that debacle, that 21-0 game, I asked him, and I asked him about, where does Bud Black stand? And he gave me that quote. I don't think he intentionally was trying to lie to me or anything. I think he was just kind of backed into a corner. I know if he had said something at that point that maybe it would have leaked out or been misconstrued. But I got to believe they knew that Bud Black was going to be let go on Sunday, regardless of the 21-0 loss. Schmidt made that clear yesterday. He's been really good to the media, meaning Bill Schmidt. You may not like what he's done in terms of roster construction, et cetera, but
I don't.
No, I get it. I completely get it. But he's treated me well, and so I don't think he was intentionally trying to mislead me. I just think he was stuck in an awkward place. So,
but Patrick, and I don't doubt that I understand what you're saying. He's always dealt with you above board. To me, how I read it, because when I see the statement from the Rockies, the guy that signed his signature at the bottom was Dick Monfort. And part of me starting to wonder, okay, did you guys even talk about this? You obviously are out there to do your job, and to me, I wouldn't be shocked to find out they don't actually talk to each other. That Dick Monfort made the decision and he decided this is what we're doing and he didn't consult anybody. Isn't this kind of at the core of the problem with a lot of the things that go on with the Rockies? They say one thing one day and then something else happens?
Well, it's no question it's a dysfunctional franchise, and Dick Monfort's at the root of that. I mean, there's no question. That's known league-wide. In this instance, Schmidt said they'd had internal discussions for a while, is how he put it. And I cannot believe that Dick Monfort would not have been involved in that, because every major decision that his team makes lands on Dick Monfort's desk, whether trading Nolan Arenado, whether signing Chris Bryant. All of those decisions and all of the money decisions come to Dick Monfort. So there is no way he did not know that there had been discussions about Bud Black being fired. No way.
Talking to Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post, who covers the Rockies. They're down in Texas to open up a 3-game series. Patrick, I wonder what you thought of the statement that Dick Monfort, the Rockies owner, chairman, and CEO, put out yesterday afternoon. And I'll read a couple of key lines of this. Our play so far this season, especially coming off the last 2 seasons, has been unacceptable. I said this to Andy earlier, like, well, you lost 100-plus games over the last 2 years. I didn't see you make a bunch of moves in the offseason to improve the club. So I would say coming off the last 2 seasons, it's been expected. And then he added, our fans deserve better. We are capable of better. That, to me, suggests like an underperforming or an underachieving by this roster, and I would say they're living down to every projection that we thought that this club had. So I guess my question is, like, do Bill Schmidt and Dick Monfort, do they honestly believe that this club is better than what the way they're performing on the field right now?
You know what? I guess they do.
Yeah.
Now, but okay. By saying that, I preface that by saying, I don't think they think they're a 7-33 ball club. I don't think they believe they're going to beat the White Sox record of 121 losses a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. I think at some point they're going to play a little better. They're still going to lose 100 games for the third season in a row. But that's part of the main problem with the Rockies. They are so internal. They are so myopic in terms of what they look at. They think their players are getting the job done. And I think the product they're putting out there right now is essentially a 4A team. Now they're going to get Tovar back in a few days and some other guys, but the team is not very good. And I was a little ticked off by that statement for a couple of reasons from Monfort. One, I have asked repeatedly to get an interview with him over the last year or so, and he always declines. It's really easy to stand up there in 20th and Blake and issue a written statement saying this is unacceptable or fans deserve better, and then they don't do anything about it. And, you know, I was talking about the Chris Bryant decision. Think about this, guys. Chris Bryant's making $27 million this year, and he may not play anymore this year.
Yeah.
Well, what could the Rockies have done with $27 million? Win a pennant? No. But they could have added at least a couple of pretty solid baseball players that would not have this team at 7-33. And I think that's where the Rockies are very disingenuous. And let me just get on my soapbox for one more thing. What bothers me about this whole scenario, and yes, it was time for Buddy to leave. I love Bud Black. He's my favorite coach and manager I've ever interacted with. He's a class act. But his voice had gotten tired. But it got tired because of all the losing, not because of Bud Black. But here's what bugs me. Pro teams all the time cut players, chastise players in public, trade players, whatever. It's part of the game. Yet the Rockies are so super sensitive about any sort of public criticism. Yet they have no qualms about cutting players or trading players or sending players down to AAA or whatever. But for some reason, the Rockies, it almost seems like they can't accept criticism about how truly bad they are. And that really bothers me.
Well, and I made this point to Andy earlier, like Warren Schaefer, who by all accounts I've heard nothing but positive things about, will now step into the managerial role, or at least on an interim basis for now, leading this ball club. But also, like Patrick, he's a Rockies lifer. He was drafted by the organization. He played in the organization. He has only ever coached in this organization at Hartford and Albuquerque and in Denver. Like he's a Rockies guy through and through. And the problem with the Rockies is, you mentioned how insular they are. They only ever do things the Rockies way, and now they've promoted a guy into the managerial seat who only knows the Rockies way. So in what world is anything going to change? Like, if they had done this in the offseason, then they have to conduct a search. Then they have to bring in outside managerial candidates. Then they have to ask people, what do you think of our ball club right now? And what do you need to be able to succeed here? And they probably wouldn't have liked a lot of those answers. This is a much easier way to not take any accountability whatsoever.
That's a good point. The only thing I would say about that is, for now, Schaefer is an interim manager. Yeah. Right. And I understand that. I mean, you don't just bring in somebody from the outside to this mess at this point in the season. Mm-hmm. Right. So an interim manager. Now, if Warren Schaefer can somehow right this ship and proves that he can change things up a little bit, then he should get consideration at the end of this year. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't look at outside candidates. When Jeff Bridich was fired, they hired Bill Schmidt as an interim GM and then hired him as the full-time GM going forward without ever looking outside the organization. And that is just so wrong, and it's such the Rockies' way. It just drives me crazy. I think, and I've suggested this, and others have suggested it too, what the Rockies need to do, they need to hire somebody from outside the organization to look it up top to bottom from, well, ownership's not going to change, but from front office to training staff to everything. And, essentially have somebody just to do a total evaluation and give them the cold hard facts and say, this is what you guys need to change if you're going to want to start competing after 7 consecutive losing seasons. And then the Rockies should take their recommendations. Will they do that? I don't know, because it's, as you guys say, it's the Rockies' way, right? And who's the new hitting coach or interim hitting coach and now the new bench coach?
Clint Hurdle.
It's Clint Hurdle. And God bless Clint for his years in baseball and everything, but he's not a new voice. And I understand why the fans are so angry, at least the hardcore baseball fans, not the 38,000 who come out on Mother's Day to party, but the hardcore baseball fans. I understand why they're mad and frustrated.
All right, I'm going to ask you the question for the answer on the record. You basically already give me a hint of what your answer is going to be, and I think it's what we all expect. Is there any indication that Dick is ready to let somebody else come and take a fresh look at this? Because, Patrick, I don't get it. They hired Gebhardt at the beginning. You remember that. Gebhardt did it one way with the Blake Street Bombers. They tried the Leland thing for a year, and then it was like mass sweeping change with Dan O'Dowd. And he's not done that since 2000. It's 25 years later. What's it going to take for him to let somebody else with a fresh idea look at this?
I don't know, and it baffles me. It baffles me. Even if he wants to keep, say, Bill Schmidt as his GM or something, what I've said for years, guys, they need a team president with authority between the GM and the manager and all the other front office folks, who is a buffer, but also is not a yes man to Dick Monfort and who has some authority. Kelly McGregor, before he passed in 2010, he had some of that. He steered the organization in a certain way, not always successful, but he was something of a pillar in this organization. They haven't had that since, and they need it because, believe me, Bud Black is not a bad baseball guy. I feel bad for him. He is not, but there was no way he was going to win with this team. No way.
Yeah, as Dave Roberts said, Casey Stengel couldn't win with this club right now. Guys, read Patrick Saunders in the Denver Post. Patrick, honestly, man, like you cover a very dysfunctional and weird organization, but you do a tremendous job of it. I especially love your mailbag. I think it's great stuff. Keep up the good work. Thanks for giving us some time today, and hopefully one day the Rockies will listen to you.
That would be nice. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post stopping by right there. By the way, Rockies and Rangers, Chase Dolander towing the slab tonight down there in Arlington.
You want a little breaking news?
Can you break it? Can
Yo,
we
I
break
know
it?
you can break it. Go ahead,
you know.
Yeah.
You know I can break it.
What is going on with the NBA lottery, Nate? This is going to help everybody wash away conspiracy theories.
You know how George Karl used to talk about the basketball gods, basketball karma?
Yeah.
None of those things exist. Those are
this is proof.
And this is absolute proof. The winner.
This will make you a basketball atheist.
Of the 2025 NBA Draft Lottery with a 1.8% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick and winning the Cooper Flag
1.8%.
The Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas, come on down.
Nico Harrison is going to draft for him?
No, I don't know. Is he going to call up LA? Hey, you want to do one more deal? Give me LeBron.
Is he gonna find out that Cooper Flag has had a carbohydrate this year and he's not going to draft him? We don't know. But the Mavericks seriously won the draft lottery.
Let me give you some numbers as to what they won. This from our guy Adam Schefter.
Mm-hmm.
Adam tweets, one NBA executive estimated privately in recent weeks that winning the draft lottery and drafting Cooper Flag would be worth a minimum of $500 million and maybe up to $1 billion for the lucky franchise.
Aren't those guys trying to build like a new casino empire down there in Dallas around their basketball team?
Works out.
Funny how that
lots
works.
of tickets, lots of jerseys, lots of TV time, probably a lot of new corporate sponsors. Boy, how hacked are you if you're Utah? Who else was top up there with you? It was Utah, and who else? Washington, was it?
Yeah, there were several teams that had 14% odds. It was Utah, Washington, and the Hornets were all at 14%. New Orleans at 12.5%, Sixers at 10.5%, Brooklyn at 9%. The only teams with lower odds to win the draft lottery than Dallas were Chicago, Sacramento, and Atlanta. Which, by the way, let's see. So here's your draft order. Dallas gets the number 1 overall pick. San Antonio gets the second.
Oh, good. They need a second pick to pair with Wemby.
How about that?
If he can play.
They've had the Rookie of the Year 2 years in a row. They just got the number 2 overall pick. Philly got the third. Charlotte
for their
the fourth.
one down year.
Right. And Utah got the 5th.
Utah's not even in the
top 4. They got the 5th pick, which I'm fine with that. But come on, Dallas won that thing.
I know.
Dallas,
of all teams, they need to start doing it like actual lotto drawings. I want the ping pong ball machine right there. I want to watch you dump all the different number of ping pong balls in there, prove to me that that's what it is, and then pull the ball like you used to with the lotto numbers.
How about that conversation with Patrick? How about that?
Well, what bothers me,
I mean, he's the daily beat reporter, right? And he's been covering this franchise forever.
Can't get the owner to talk to him.
Yeah, can't get the owner to talk to him. You know, it's that again. That's like Bud Black was the guy that he did all the talking. Bud Black didn't assemble this roster. He didn't put it together. This is the club that he got.
Yeah.
That he had no chance of being able to win with. And I don't want anybody to mishear me. I can't argue for 1 second that Bud Black should have kept his job. But I also will argue that firing Bud Black accomplishes absolutely nothing.
Well, this feels like you've already started a road trip. You've crossed 2 state lines, and now you want to get a rental car because you've decided this car is going to break down. You needed to rent the car beginning of the trip.
Andy, and Patrick makes the point, and he's right. He's just saying facts. Warren Schaefer right now is the interim manager.
But we know how that goes.
We all know how this goes. He's only ever been in this organization. He fits the exact profile of the guy that becomes the next manager of the Rockies. We know that.
Do you think the only thing that could minorly be different about this, does Clint talk him into having his job back?
Maybe.
The only way I see this go different is maybe Clint does become the guy.
Sure.
Hoping to bank on nostalgia of the old 07 Rocks.
Why would Clint want it? Who knows?
Well, he's already back.
You're right. He's sitting on that bench every single day watching this stuff. Nico Harrison gets the number 1 overall pick. It's Kreckman and Lindahl. Oh, there's so much going on right now. Okay. Boston and the Knicks just underway. Game 4 right now at the Garden. Series 2-1.
Has a home team ever needed this game more?
I know, right?
Feels like if Boston wakes up, the Knicks are in trouble.
Yeah, very, very much so. Indiana, by the way, up 3-1 right now on the Cavs. They've looked great.
And they have no idea if Donovan Mitchell, he did something to his ankle. He may not be available next game.
Not looking good.
Last thing the Cavs need.
Yes. Mavs win the draft lottery.
Which is just unfathomable. What did you say, 0.1% chance or something?
It is sub 2% chance of winning the draft lottery. They get the number 1 overall pick. Trade Luka to the Lakers, and then you get to draft Cooper Flag. Unbelievable. I asked you this before. Would you trade the number 1 overall pick in this draft? In this case, if you're Nico Harrison, which you have to now think like Nico Harrison.
I'm calling the Lakers right away.
Would you trade the number 1 overall pick for Giannis? Chance to draft Cooper Flag. Looks like he's got generational talent written all over him. Or would you roll the dice and say, okay,
well,
I've already got Kyrie coming back from a huge injury. I've got
a win.
AD. Well,
Kyrie is going to be a late season addition.
You're hoping you get him midway through the year, but you love your defense already. You've got Anthony Davis, who is going to get injured, but still. I mean, like, the Mavs are not a talentless squad.
No.
They got beset by injuries after the trade this year.
Oh, they almost didn't have enough people to suit up one game.
But if you could add Giannis in a win-now window, and I'm sure you'd have to include other things in the trade to make the machinations work, but essentially it would be a Cooper Flag for Giannis trade.
Okay.
If I was Milwaukee, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well, how sure are we? Because people are trying to compare Flag to Jokic, right?
Short. Yeah, he's a shorter, but he's a very good all-around
He's a big
player.
man that can run your offense a little bit and do everything for you.
Yeah, honestly, I think he has more comparison to Luka than he does to Jokic, but
all right.
he's phenomenal.
See, so I don't know if do you trade the number 1 pick? I don't know about what if you're sitting there and you're San Antonio. If you're San Antonio, do you offer number 2 to pair with Wemby?
I would, but
would that be attractive to Milwaukee?
No, not nearly as much because Cooper Flag's
he's the one.
Yeah, he's the guy in this trade.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Dallas and if you want to get the fans back right away, then yes, you go get Giannis and replace superstar for superstar.
Yeah, again.
But if you're playing the long game, you probably go with Flag. But if Giannis is out there, who did we say is picking 3, 2?
Well, I just had it. I lost it.
It doesn't matter. Oh, it's Philly.
Yeah.
If I were San Antonio or Philly, I'd offer either of those picks for Giannis.
Yeah, but
and
it's
then you want a little something extra, I'll give it to you.
And Trey Johnson, that doesn't quite do it for me. No, I'd be holding out for number 1.
So is this a 1-player draft?
It's one. It's like LeBron. It's like Duncan. It's like Wemby. It's one of those dudes is in this draft. One of those.
But there's only
dudes.
one.
Yeah. This was an extremely valuable number 1 overall pick. It's a tough loss for Utah. Tough one.
How did Giannis and AD coexist? Would you say? Is it worth the pairing?
Yeah, I'd figure it out. Yeah, I would absolutely figure it out. I would just make AD play the 5, and Giannis would be my 4, and he could wander the floor and do whatever the hell he wanted to out there. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing right now.
Okay, let's bring it home a little bit.
Okay.
If you're the Nuggets, what package do you throw at Milwaukee?
Everything that isn't Jokic.
Yeah,
Here
you
you
can have
go.
the whole team. Everybody.
Everything that's not nailed down, not named Nikola Jokic.
How
Here
much
you
fun
are.
would Giannis and Jokic be together?
It'd be a pretty good time.
Yeah.
I think I'd enjoy that.
Sean Payton at the Greenbrier, good?
I think I'd have a really...
Sean Payton on Bourbon Street, good?
I think I could have fun with that. I really do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Best power forward in the game with the best center in the game. Yeah. I think
some
I'd like
things
that.
to be worked out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can have it all. You can also have our baseball team just to go ahead and take
Sure.
them.
We'll
Absolutely.
throw it in, although you got the Brewers.
They got the Brewers, but you know what? They need to fill dates when the Brewers are on the road.
Why not? You can be a 2-team town.
Totally.
1 AL, 1 NL.
You can have it all. Absolutely. Is Mikko Rantanen going to win the Conn Smythe, Andy?
You shut your mouth. We're not there yet. He's on pace.
By the way, how about what happened yesterday with the kicked puck that then went off the stick of Connor Hellebuck, which then what was that, like an 8-minute review?
Oh, yeah, they couldn't figure it out because there was there was a kicking motion, but they also said,
yeah,
I don't know how much you bothered to listen to the back and forth of the announcers that were really doing their best to fill time, but because it was a kicking motion with the outside of the skate, they don't view it quite the same way as like literally the instep or whatever.
Right. Rule 49, because the puck got kicked by Petrovic, but the puck was not coming to a stop. The puck did not bounce off anyone's body or off his own stick. It did not deflect off the stick of any other skater, but rather the goalies, the one player that, by the way, is specifically excluded from the sub-rule that is in the rule book. That's one of those ways that hockey is such a weird sport.
Yeah.
You literally can't account for everything, and now they'll have to add another addendum to it of, like, the goalie knocking it into the goal with his own stick, and then does that then make the kicking motion legal? They ultimately decided it did.
I thought the right call was made.
Yes.
It's not.
It
like
should have been a goal.
Yeah.
Hellebuck knocked it in.
Yes.
It should have been a goal.
And the puck's bouncing on it. It was pinball at that point.
Right.
When you're deliberately using the skate to score the goal, that's when there's an issue. All right. This guy's just trying to redirect it anywhere he could.
Andy, are you going to remember where you were for night number 1 of the Warren Schaefer era?
No,
Yeah.
I'll be making pork chops tonight on my grill. That's
Okay.
about as exciting as it's going to be.
You're not flipping over to Cal Rock tonight to
we'll
watch?
all watch, right?
Chase
We're going to watch, but
Dolander.
I'm curious about, don't we have Vegas and Edmonton in our lives tonight? I'm curious about Warriors-Wolves.
Yeah, there's good basketball to be played. Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah.
Does the dead cat bounce? Do they go down? By the way, they're continuing a run of only playing teams with winning records. The Rangers going into tonight's ball game are a game under 500. So this is like the worst team that the Rockies are going to play for a while.
Well, and okay. I mean, the bottom line is you don't have good players. You can't switch the lineup up. You don't have better pitching. So there it is. I need your ruling on something.
Okay.
So I came across this tweet.
All right.
It says great white people sayings. And I found these funny.
Okay.
Now, I would say this is more just guy over 40 sayings, maybe.
Okay.
35.
Okay.
So
we are white people. So
we are.
Let's judge this.
I'm okay to chuckle, I guess.
Okay.
Get a load of this guy.
Oh, I use that.
Hold your horses.
I don't think I use that one as often.
Well, I need to know what's your favorite. Some of these are old guy. You're barking up the wrong tree. That's something my dad would say.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat. I think you and I turned it into a waffer. You ever go whatever floats your waffer?
I've never used that in my life. What's a waffer?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Just heard it and I've repeated it.
Okay.
Kick rocks.
Oh,
that's a Birdo
That's
deal.
Birdo.
We needed this rain.
I use that one.
That's kind of like hot today.
We needed the moisture.
This is I feel like this is a Spit and Chicklets Mark Bertinoli, Mark Springer era one. What an absolute unit. Now, you and I think I've done this. Look who decided to show up.
Oh, yes.
And this guy thinks he's something, huh? Now, that one I haven't really used.
I don't think I've used that one.
I like all those. Now, my favorite one is get a load of this guy.
You know what I say all the time to my 3-year-old? Because when you have a 3-year-old, you're in
Can't open the damn door? What was it?
That was Lucy. Can't open the damn door. No, because you're in constant negotiation with a 3-year-old. And so I find myself using the phrase, and to an exhausting amount, I use the phrase, I tell you what.
Yes, I'll tell you what.
Because he's always requesting something, and it's like, I tell you what.
That's the ultimate we'll see.
Right. I tell you what. I desperately have to pee right now, but then I'll get your granola bar.
What ends this conversation? Have we ever not needed the rain, by the way? Is there any time, at least in Colorado,
we always
where we're
need
not
the rain.
saying we didn't need this rain?
Constantly need the rain. Broncos Chiefs Christmas night.
You psyched?
Christmas night.
Ooh, there's some bad. Our boy Nick Kosmider dug up some stuff. So did Kliss.
Okay, what do we got?
And the last 2 Christmas games were the Rams throttling.
Oh, yeah.
In Russ's first year with that's what got our guy fired, Haxie.
Oh, that's
so
right.
quick I couldn't even remember.
Yeah.
And I attended the last Broncos game in Kansas City on Christmas.
Dontari Poe.
2017 fat guy touchdown
Yeah, Dontari
as the
Poe.
rain fell down on all of us.
So not a promising past, but
not
hey,
exactly the night I think's their favorite.
it's a new era. The Blitz with Birdo kicking rocks coming up next. Spring and Birdo going to be talking about the Nuggets and Thunder split at 2 games apiece, plus they're getting you all ready for, obviously, NBA playoff action tonight. Knicks and Celtics already in action. NHL playoff action tonight. And, naturally, the start of the Warren Schaefer era.
Can't wait.
Remember where you were, everybody, listening to the Blitz as Warren Schaefer and the Rockies
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
took on the Rangers tonight. Good night, everybody.
What the hell is going on? Mile City, how you doing? How you doing, Denver? What's up? What's up, Colorado? Welcome to Monday, May the 12th. And this is The Blitz. I'm Mark Bernal, coming live from the Baxter Shanker Studios. Their passion is justice. We've got an hour to talk about anything in the world. Sports you want to talk about, and we've got plenty to talk about. I'm joined, as always, by the radio machine. His name is Mark Springer. Springer, how you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Hey, man, I told you that my prediction was a split, and that's what happened.
Oh, man. What?
Sometimes you just can't fight what's likely, you know?
Nah, but listen, man. Listen, man. Listen. What we saw from the Nuggets and the Thunder set offensive basketball back decades yesterday. Decades, man.
It's the playoffs. You get those lower scoring games.
No, I get it.
And there's also
no, 8 points in the first quarter ain't the playoffs, man. That's not what that was.
Well, you know what I was thinking as that quarter went on? I was like, dude, the Padres scored more runs at Coors Field on Saturday night than there are, points being scored in this
Thunder
quarter.
had 87 points at halftime of Game 3, right? Was it Game 3? No, Game 2, right? Game 2.
Game 2.
And
that's how many points the Nuggets scored in the game.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. Good stat.
Now listen, man. It became surreal. I don't know what it was like watching it at home, but there at Ball Arena, it just kept getting worse when you thought it couldn't. Where it got to the point where I was just staring, watching that game, losing my mind, thinking to myself, the Nuggets aren't making any shots because they've never made any shots, and they're never going to make any shots because this is where I live now. This is the world I'm living in. This right here, nothing but bricks. It was crazy. Every time the Nuggets took a shot, the longer that first half went, I was just clang, clang. That's all, clang. It's clang. Man, it's like that's. I now worship at the altar of clang, man. You know what I mean? Like clang is my God. I bowed to clang, man, because that was my life. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had watching a game. Clang. It was
clanging and banging,
missing layups, missing all the threes, every single three, missing everything. Clang. It was like I woke up this morning and it was still in my brain. Clang was in my soul, man. Like I'd brush my teeth. Clang. Had some breakfast. Clang. Get some coffee. Clang. You know what? It was insane. Like literally, I was like, you know what? Success is a profit of failure. None of us make it out of this world alive. Why would you even try to make a basketball? Why would you even try to make a shot? My brain was losing it. Like the Nuggets have sent me through an emotional roller coaster this playoff series. Matter of fact, this entire playoff run. Where remember when they won the title, Spring? When they won the title, it was like this ramp up. Where you're like, oh, wow, they're pretty. Look, they went, no, we're tied with Finn. Oh, no, you got by Finn. Oh, look at this. You make it, And then so you're like, But this season, this playoff run is all the highs and all the lows. And it's just like, celebration time and then punch to the gut. And then you're like, having to watch, you're like, this is great. I can't believe he made that shot. And then it's a kick to the nuts, man, because it sucked. It's an insane playoff run by what the Nuggets are doing. No, here's what's going to happen, Spring. They're going to lose tomorrow. Nuggets are going to lose tomorrow because, of course, they are. Then they're going to win on Thursday, and then they're probably going to win Game 7 because that's how the Nuggets roll nowadays. Right? When you're watching that in the first half, that's all. I couldn't believe how many shots it was. I was like, man, white man can't jump. Let's gather up all these bricks and make a homeless shelter for your mother on Mother's Day. It was just clang, clang, clang. It was insane, man. I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was in some kind of different universe. It was wild. When you were watching it at home, what were you thinking?
8 points in the first quarter. I think both teams at one point there in the second quarter were each 1 of 18 from 3. How much of that, and both teams had to deal with it, was the Game 3 finishing late Friday night. Yeah. So, 36-ish hours apart? How much of it is that, the depth that the Thunder have compared to the lack of depth for the Nuggets? But look, dude, I thought by the end of the third quarter, I thought they were going to win the game.
Yeah.
The Nuggets played a great third quarter. I'm sitting there watching that thing. And so, yeah, only 8 points in the first quarter. Low-scoring first half overall, but they were still there. They were in that game. I mean, they won the second quarter 28-25, so they were only down by 6 at the half. And then they win the third by 12. And, man, I thought they played an excellent third quarter. Like, the exact type of playoff basketball that any team wants to play. Smart is what I talked about on Friday. Methodical in the half-court offense. Good team defense. Even Jamal Murray, who I've been critical of defensively, I thought he played excellent team defense in that third quarter. There was like an alley-oop that he went up and he read and he blocked an alley-oop.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that. Murray on deep. Russell Westbrook with the one-on-one defense late in that quarter on SGA and get the jump ball or the turnover or whatever. And Russ is fired up. And Mark Jones said that he was in his chest like bronchitis, which was a good line. And it felt like the energy was there. And then what'd they go in the fourth? 0 of 10 from 3?
Yeah,
something
18,
like that?
18. The reason it freaked me out was the first and the fourth quarters. Because the first quarter looked like you forgot how to play basketball, or maybe you've never played basketball before in your life. That's how the Nuggets looked in that first quarter.
I think the fourth quarter is that. I mean, that's gas out.
And then the fourth quarter, and then that was offensively the Thunder's best quarter of the game was the fourth quarter.
They played a strong, smart. It was kind of like what the Nuggets did in the third. Well, the Thunder did the exact same things well in the fourth quarter. But look, man, this was probably always going to be a split. That's just what it was always going to be. We can Monday morning quarterback it. We can break the refs.
No.
This, that.
Don't you think if the Nuggets had that dog in them, it'd be a 3-1 series right now? Nuggets have that dog in them. Right? You're at home, and you got the lead going to the fourth quarter. Guess what that means? That means you got to win that game.
You ever taken the dog on a walk on a hot spring day? It gets tired.
No, my dog will just lay the hell down. She'll just stop walking.
Then you got to carry it home. You got to carry that dog home. I like when you play 6-7 guys by the fourth quarter in a 2-game stretch of less than 48 hours apart. You could see. I mean, their legs.
You basically played 6 guys. Excuse me.
Peyton Watson wasn't as effective as he was on Friday night.
Yeah, well, nobody was effective last night or yesterday afternoon, I guess you should say. And I'll say this, man. I know he hasn't said anything about it. And when he talked about why he had an off night, Joker was talking about how well they were guarding him. But I'm telling you right now, I think the elbow that's been bothering him all season long, I think it's flared up here in the playoffs. I think that elbow is bothering him.
And I think Porter's left shoulder probably.
Yeah, Porter's left shoulder
came off. Came off some of the adrenaline of Game 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what it's going to be, It's going to be up and down, and that's what the Nuggets were all season long. Nothing different here in the playoffs.
It is an emotional roller coaster ride, man. Because that one hurt yesterday, probably because it looked like you could have taken that one, and instead you went back to we can't make a shot ways.
Well, the Thunder could have taken Game 1,
Yeah. I have no feeling for tomorrow's game, other than I think that the Thunder are going to win tomorrow, and then the Nuggets win on Thursday, and then we have a Game 7. You know what? When would a Game 7 be? Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday? It'd be Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked at it earlier. It would be Sunday.
Yeah, because I actually don't see OKC winning 2 straight again. Or what would it be? It'd be 3 straight. You know what I mean? To take the series,
which would be interesting if they do get to a Game 7, because Tuesday, Thursday, and then you get that extra day off. Because we're going every other day here right now. You would, though, between a Game 6 and Game 7, get an extra. You get a third. You would get 2 days off. You would get 2 days off, which would help a team with a
banged up.
Yeah, banged up with a slimmer
rotation.
Although,
if you go 7, you're going to be just as exhausted once the Western Conference Finals rolled around, if you win that bad boy, right? Because
maybe the extra day's the difference. I don't know. Let me look up and see how many days off they had between last year's Game 7.
Like the Timberwolves can take a 3-1 lead tonight, which means in 2 days' time they could end the series. You know what I mean? The Timberwolves Warriors series could be done by Wednesday, man. And then they're just going to wait around for a week, waiting to see what happens with. Oh, but I don't know, man. I think Golden State's probably good enough to get another win in that series. I don't see Minnesota.
I hope they do. I hope they do. And you know what? I think they will. The basketball gods will get the Warriors another win because Steph could be back. For game
did you
6.
see any of that game on Saturday night between the Timberwolves
was
and the
peeking
Warriors?
in on it a little bit.
Yeah.
It looked like Golden State was competing in that game.
Yeah, they were. And then Anthony Edwards went crazy in the second half. Like, Ant scored 38 points or something like that, and like 27 came in the second half of that game where, he scored 36, and a whole chunk of them came in that second half where he was just like, all right, I'm going to go off now. But it looked like, especially in the fourth quarter, I was like, oh, the Warriors can't handle this team right now. So, but that doesn't mean they won't handle them tonight, although I think the Timberwolves are, Minnesota minus 5.5 right now. The Celtics and the Knicks are going on as we speak. It is heading to the second quarter, and the Celtics lead the Knicks 39-28. You know what's crazy is that the Knicks won the first 2 games of the series, and they won the first 2 games of the series in Boston, and everybody was still like, nah, I think the Celtics are still taking this. But that was mostly because they're like, they can't shoot as poorly from 3 as they did in the first 2 games, right? And it's not possible. Just like if you're a Nugget fan, you have to look at the game yesterday and be like, they can't possibly be as poor offensively as they were yesterday, not in game 5. It's just almost statistically impossible because what you saw yesterday was one of the worst. Matter of fact, it might be the worst offensive playoff game the Nuggets have ever played. Shockingly enough, they scored 8 points in the first quarter, which is the fewest points they've ever scored in a quarter in a playoff game, but not the fewest points they've ever scored in a game. And I was like, whoa, yeah, that's pretty rough right there. So there's no way, right? There's no way.
No.
We're going to get another off night. Although I say that, but the Nuggets are going to nugget, man. You never know what's going to happen. I'm assuming, you know what? Did both teams ended up shooting under 40%, or did both teams end up shooting under 35% yet? Hold on, let me look real quick. Because it's not like the Thunder were lighting it up. The Thunder shot 35% from the field and 24% from 3. The Nuggets shot 31% from the field and 24% from 3. And I'll say it again. I mentioned how the first half of that game was driving me crazy, like put me in the spirit world. I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and I was getting clang, 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 clang in my brain. You know what? None of it would have mattered. The 8 points, none of it would have mattered if they would have made their free throws. Once again, the Denver Nuggets missed 10 free throws, in which a game they lost by 5 points. It's the second time in the playoffs that I think free throws cost them a game. Second time in these playoffs, the free throw shooting cost them a game. Please. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, well, Jokic missed those 2 late. He missed 2 late in that Wolves regular season game down the stretch. So those hurt. Gordon missed a couple, but he's
10 missed free points. Free points. That's what they are. Free points. Mm-hmm. And you missed 10 of them, man, and you lost the game by 5.
Mm-hmm. Nuggets shot 36 free throws.
Yeah,
Thunder shot 26.
Yeah, they.
And I know that that people were big mad about was it like late first, early second? Sometime in the first half, SGA did his little lean into Jokic.
Yeah.
Off balance, left-handed layup, good, and one.
Foul, yeah.
Then Jokic had a similar play, and they waved it off. They waved off the bucket, called the foul on the floor. Nuggets were in the bonus, though, so Jokic still went to the line but didn't get the 3-point play. Yeah. Didn't love that. That being said, you shot 36 free throws, and there are very few games in sports where I come away from them being like the officiating is what was the difference in that game, and I do not feel that way after that game.
No, I don't either. Make your free throws. Win a playoff game, please. But I don't think so either. Matter of fact, I can't believe I'm getting like old guy get off my lawn NBA fan. I'd be more than happy if they dropped those free throws even further. No blood, no foul, man. It's the NBA. This Nugget Thunder series is hella physical, man. They are banging away. They are both these teams are going to be, whoever wins this thing is going to be exhausted once they make the Western Conference Finals. Because don't you agree that this has been a physical, nasty, they're letting some things go, and these teams are taking advantage of it, especially OKC, man. But they got more big bodies to throw at Joker and Jamal and the crew. But ooh, make your free throws, win a playoff game. Make your free throws, win a playoff game.
If I had told you, what if I told you that this was a 2-2 series after 4 games?
Yeah, I'd be happy about it, man. I'd be happy about it. But you know me, I'm not gonna.
You want sweeps. You want 16 and out.
Right? Yes, I overreact to every single game, man. Every single game. And yesterday's game freaked me the hell out, man. I didn't like anything about it. But it's mostly because of how it started and how it ended. There in the middle, I was like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. But yeah, the beginning and the end was terrible. Awful. I don't think I've ever watched a basketball game that was that poor offensively from both teams. I've just never seen anything like it. Just some of the worst basketball you will ever see. Right? You can't tell me that first. Do you want to watch that first quarter again, Spring? You want to watch that thing again, man?
First quarter was like, wait, what?
Yeah. That was like 1943. I was like, where the hell's the peach basket, man?
They're the Cagers out there.
It's weird. But yeah, no, you're right. If you would have told me the series is tied 2-2 heading back to OKC for game 5, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. I'm down with it. But it doesn't feel that way, right? It doesn't feel that way after yesterday because there is a little tiny little part of my brain that thinks that, you know what? The Nuggets were so bad yesterday, not because they had an off game, but because OKC was doing something to them.
Okay. See, it sucks when, there's a game Friday night, there's a game Sunday night. That's when sports radio goes dormant.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Friday night. How are you feeling, huh?
Great,
that was a good one.
That was a super great win, man. AG ties it up. Then you dominate overtime. You take a 2-1 lead. You're like, yeah, let's go. And then you have the lowest scoring playoff quarter in franchise history and just give up the ghost in the fourth quarter against the team that you had on the ropes. You had, what was it, a 6-point lead going to the fourth quarter, man? And and then they go on a run immediately. OKC answers with a run immediately, man. Can't believe they outscore you by 11 in the fourth. Bah. Yeah, I don't know, man. This has been an emotional roller coaster ride for your boy. Do you not think it's been an up and down? The swings that the Nuggets go through, there is no middle ground. I kind of just a little bit of consistency from you, Denver. I'm not sure exactly which way you're going to go on any given night. It's hella entertaining. But it's also stressful, brother. Stressful.
I mean, Denver steals game 1. Nuggets are dead tired, get blown out game 2. Denver plays a very smart, excellent game 3 and gets a really quality win. And then they're kind of tired again. And let one get away from them. But I look at the stealing of game 1 and the quality of game 3, and it's a 2-2 series against a team that was a -700 favorite going into this series and say, okay.
What are they now? What are they now? Now that it's a 3-game series.
I'm going to guess it's something like Thunder -300.
Okay.
Let me look at right now.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I do not.
But that's all right.
Listen, the Nuggets are going to
People just doubt the Nuggets. It is what it is.
I'm just saying, no matter what, the Nuggets win tomorrow.
Ooh, it's worse than I thought.
Oh, what is it?
Thunder -525.
Interesting. So Vegas comes away with that. Although, I mean, we could look it up. What's the percentage of when the home team is tied 2-2 with 3 games remaining? I wonder what the record is compared to the road team.
Yeah, and I guess maybe some of that, it being higher than I thought is it's a best of 3. 2 of them are in Oklahoma City. They have the home court. That's probably what it is.
Let's see. Let me see if I can see the winner of Game 5 in a 2-2 series wins the series 82% of the time. So the winner in Game 5 of a 2-2 series wins the series 82% of the time, according to TNT. So once again, tomorrow's a huge game. But this is so weird. When it comes to those kind of numbers, it doesn't matter when it comes to the Nuggets. The Nuggets are too much of an outlier. They don't do, when it's a 2-2, it's 82. Now the Nuggets could lose tomorrow by 79 points, and I'd bet the house they win on Thursday. And if they win tomorrow night, I'll bet the house they lose on Thursday. You know what I mean? Like the Nuggets are like, we're going to game 7, even when we have to throw this game 6. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like that's the Nuggets. The Nuggets are like, nah, if we're going to win the NBA title this season, we're going to take the hardest road possible to get there.
I would say that, the way this series has gone, much like I predicted a split over the weekend, I'm going to predict a split in games 5 and 6. But the weird thing is, you would think it would go home team. It very well might go road team.
Yeah.
Who knows the way this series has gone, but I'll predict a split either way.
Yeah, man, craziness, absolute craziness. All right, let's take a quick time out. We got to talk some Broncos and some. I almost cursed live on the radio Saturday night. Live on the radio, I almost cursed, like out loud to the general public, and I was shocked. I'll take you behind. Listen, man, we'll get to it.
Okay, but how shocked were you?
I was shocked, bro. I was shocked. I was doing the Rapids halftime report.
Yeah, I was shocked too.
Had no idea what first time I looked at the Rocky score was when I was telling the public. I was like, "Well, we got a couple of minutes here. Let me check these MLB scores for the people." And because I give the NBA I give the Major League Soccer scoreboard, the NBA and the NHL playoffs. I'm like, I still got a minute here. Let me tell the people what the Rockies are doing. I had not looked at the MLB scoreboard yet. Flipped on over, and I was like, "Well, over in Major League Baseball, the Rockies were taking." I was like, "Oh, damn! What is this score? They put 3 touchdowns on my local baseball team. What is going on? 21-0. What is?" Anyway, we'll get to all that next right here on the Blitz.